Got it good, now get inside. We're going to go.
Hello, hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing good. Are you an atheist? Good reason for God?
Yeah, I'm an atheist.
I see.
You want to talk
Uh,
about that?
yeah, sure, sure. Let's talk about good reasons for God. I've been going around actually asking atheists several questions. One of the questions I've been asking was about numbers,
Okay.
like the number three and truth. You as a human being, am I under the impression, unless you are a nominalist, do you presuppose the existence of three?
The phenomenon, yeah, but not the linguistic concept, right?
Right, right, right. The phenomena of three. Like if you were to show me three fingers, you presuppose that I would understand what you're talking about there.
Yeah. Can I give a different example and see if that tracks onto what you're saying?
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So let's imagine a world where no minds exist, yet
Yeah.
three rocks exist. I would agree that a thing with the property of the law of identity exists,
Mm-hmm.
and a separate thing, and a separate thing with the law of identity exists, and a separate thing with the law of identity exists, right?
Hmm.
So that phenomena would exist, but I don't think threeness is a concept there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The phenomena. Like
Yeah.
three is how we say it with our mouths, and
Exactly.
yeah,
We're
yeah, no.
using like the bandwidth of voice
Right,
words.
right.
Yeah,
That's how we're
exactly,
thinking about.
exactly.
But you presuppose such a for that phenomena to exist, right?
Yeah.
Hmm. And so for me, God, let's barring religion and all this other stuff, right?
Tap the
Uh,
screen, guys. Go
Good
ahead.
reason, good reason for God. I'm going to follow you here. The good reason for God is that we presuppose God's existence. God is truth. Now we
Wait,
can.
one second.
Yeah.
One second.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna need. First of all, I'm gonna need an argument for that, right?
Yeah.
But from my worldview, I'm not one of those atheists that say convince me. I don't. I believe that God does not exist, right? And I
Right.
think so if you want to compare worldviews, I'm down to do that.
Um. I'm not a big. Maybe we're on the same page actually, because I'm not a big like worldview, your worldview, my worldview, right?
Yeah.
I'm just questioning whether you presuppose truth exists, reality and truth. Like.
I think that phenomena exist, and people can have like attitudes that align with that phenomena or something. Like
Uh-huh.
truth, the phenomena exists. Truth, the like, I don't know. Yeah, so I think we agree.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
We agree. Like we're having this conversation now, expecting the other person knows what words are going to come out the other person's mouth. Not,
That makes sense.
yeah, barring definitions, right? Like
Yeah.
I may use a different word. You're like, what does that word mean? Even if I use a different word and you didn't know what that word mean, you asked me
Right.
that question, assuming that we would qualify each other and all that stuff.
Right.
Right. I'm saying what you're presupposing there is God.
Okay, well that's just to equivocate on God, but that's fine. Let me
Mhm.
ask you, do you think that God is a mind that created the universe?
Let's say I'm convinced that's the case, but I'm not making the case for that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so do you believe in a God that has like a list of predicates?
Can you go in deeper in that? Can
Yeah,
you
so like
clarify?
let's imagine that we're writing predicates that's true about Personer. It's
Mhm.
true that he enjoys going on TikTok. It's
Mhm.
true that he has a calm like tenor level speaking voice. It's true
Mhm.
that he likes to investigate other people's ideas. It's true that he's this tall. It's
Mhm.
true that
Mhm.
right those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Does
So,
God have those?
I'm convinced that that is the case, right? But that's because of my personal relationship with God, and I don't mean like personal relationship with Jesus Christ. I just mean my interaction with God, right? How
Yeah,
I interact
but
with
you are
truth.
you are hinting at the Christian God. Am I right?
I'm not necessarily. I believe in the Christian God, right? I'm not necessarily
Okay.
hinting at the Christian God with this concept. Yeah, I'm just
No,
going
you're
for,
good.
yeah, I'm just going for God's existence. Ultimately, I believe Jesus says He is truth, and I believe if anyone believes in truth and follow truth, they'll find Jesus. If I'm wrong, then I was wrong, right? But truth is
Wait,
still
but
truth, regardless if we
okay,
want it or
okay,
not.
that's fine. Yeah, okay. There's a lot to unpack there. So let
Yeah.
me just and WYD we can move on to next, but I do want to have a one-on-one combo. Um, so look, the reason why I don't believe that God is real is because I
Mhm.
believe in a past eternal universe, and if the universe is past eternal, then the
Mhm.
universe was not created. And if the kind of thing that does creating is a creator, I don't think there can be one of those, right? Does that make sense?
Kind of. From what I'm understanding, you're saying the universe is past eternal, so it has no need for a creator.
I'm saying almost exactly that, but I'm not
Mhm.
saying it is past eternal. I'm saying I believe it is past
Right.
eternal.
You believe it's past eternal, there, thus it has no need for a creator.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. If it
So,
wasn't created, then this isn't creation, and the kind of thing that does creation is a creator. Don't need one.
okay, I see what you're saying. So it's not like, um, because I served in the Marine Corps, and one of the things where like people don't want Marine, I mean, don't need Marines, they want Marines. So it's not like,
Or like they don't want them, they need them.
right. So it's not like
Okay.
you're saying the lack of necessity means non-existent. Is that what you're saying? Because there's
The
no.
lack of necessity. No, no. I'm saying if God is a creator of the universe,
Mhm.
and if the universe wasn't created, it doesn't seem like those two
Gotcha,
things can
gotcha,
exist.
gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. And that's just your belief, right? That's that you
Yeah,
can't.
yeah. I think I have a really good inductive case, but you have good reasons to believe.
Yeah.
So the reason that the prompt is good reasons for believing
Mm-hmm.
is like people. A lot of times people do the believing part and don't do the good reasons part. And
Mm-hmm.
I will debate atheists about their reasons, right? And if I think that they don't have good reasons, I'll tell them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm here to compare our reasons and find out who has the better reasons. I don't care
Right.
if God is true, so be it, right? At the end
Right.
of the day, if you convince me, that's fine. But I
Right.
care about having good reasons because you can arrive at the truth. You can be accidentally correct. You
Mm-hmm.
can
Right.
be, like yeah,
And that's kind of my thing too. If Jesus turns out not to be truth and turns out not to be God, let's say he lied when he said he's the way, the truth, and the life, right?
yeah,
Let's say that was a big lie. I would still believe that God is truth and God and truth exists. And
yeah,
even I and other atheists and all these people presuppose such a truth.
yeah. So, like, say that again.
Yeah. If Jesus was to come out to be a liar, right? I would still believe in God because I believe that we, as whether Christian or atheist or whatever, we all presuppose truth, and that
Okay,
what we
but how are you
presuppose
getting
is
from
God.
we presuppose truth,
Yeah,
therefore necessarily the Christian God is real?
no, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying if the Christian God was even false, I would still believe in God because God is truth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
I
you're
believe
saying
Christianity because I trust Jesus. I believe Jesus said. I believe when Jesus says He's
right.
truth, I believe Him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So let me see if I got this right. You're
Mhm.
saying that I believe in God, and by God I mean the Christian God, right?
By
But if
God, I
the
mean
Christian
truth.
God turns out to be true, I would still believe in God because I have a backup like definition where if truth exists, God exists,
Right.
therefore God exists or something.
Right. So
Okay, I mean, I think that's just like a why need that? If you find out that the Christian God was a liar, what
mhm.
makes you think that the kind of thing that would be good to hold belief in would be a God, even if that God is just that truth exists and it's true that truth exists?
I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's good or not. This is just a conversation for God, right? It's not about whether you believe
Wait,
in Him or rather accept Him or what He says. For example, a atheist asked in another live, they were saying, "Well, God is not real because if I don't have free will, then I don't basically I don't have free will because if He gives me hell, then I don't have free will." And I said, if we deny truth, we can still choose truth, we may hurt ourselves in the process of denying truth. Does that mean we don't have a choice? No, we have a choice to harm ourselves, just like you have a choice to go to hell or not. Like if you don't choose God, you can choose hell if you want to.
yeah.
Never.
So
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, there's a lot of stuff in there, and
yeah.
I'm not trying to be rude.
Mhm. No, it's a lot.
There's a lot of stuff in there that just seems like not very substantive or like it sounds cool so you're
Mhm.
saying it like but I don't get it like yeah I
So,
agree we have the ability to choose truth and to turn away from truth and yeah I agree that we have the ability to if we choose truth sometimes it can be helpful sometimes it can be hurtful right like if you find out that it's true that your girlfriend's cheating on you you know the truth but that's hurtful but I also agree that if you choose to turn away from truth that can be helpful like if you'd rather not know, like when your dog was gonna unalive, right? Or something like. So
yeah,
it
emotionally
seems like,
helpful. Like, yeah, that'd be emotionally helpful or whatever. But
yeah,
We
yeah,
have people out there
this is
that
my
believe that
base of my argument. We
we have
all
people out there that believe that gravity doesn't exist. Now, you and I both know that if we walk over to the Empire State Building and jump off of it, we're going to be unalive that day.
Are you talking to me?
No, I'm just saying in general, like
Yeah,
to that point. To
we,
that
we,
point.
we presuppose such a notion. We presuppose such a
Oh, I
notion.
understand. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
go
so we
ahead.
presuppose such a notion. So we know that there is something there, that thing that we're presupposing. We may not be able to describe it, whatever it is, but that thing
Yeah.
that we presuppose is. And what I'm saying is that what that is God.
Okay, but okay, then I guess I'm gonna ask for your argument. Truth exists, therefore God. I don't get it.
Yeah, that's it. God is truth.
Okay, but that's just okay. So by God you mean truth, and by truth you mean God.
Yeah.
Okay, do you understand how if I say atheism is true because truth equals the universe and the universe equals truth?
But does truth equal the universe?
Yes, it does.
Explain.
Well, why? I could just say that. I could just say that universe equals the truth because you can choose truth or turn away from truth, and when you choose truth, you can have good or bad reactions, and if you turn away from it, you have good or bad reactions. We both have the same explanation, but our explanon is different, right?
Well, you said truth is the universe. Explain how the universe is truth. Explain how
I
we
just did.
explain how we
Because the
presuppose
universe is truth because you would expect if the universe was truth that the universe would furnish things like being able to come to claims that comport to reality, being able to
So
being
is the
able to
universe
arrive
reality?
at false conclusions, being able to get hurt, being able to learn, being able to grow. If the universe were truth, then that would be something we would expect, and we do have that in this universe. Therefore, the universe is truth, and the truth is universe,
Is
right?
the universe truth, or does the universe show us truth?
Wait 1 second. KOWDB.
Yeah,
Will you request back up real quick?
yeah.
Okay.
So the universe shows.
Also, Jim, request back up so you can have your box.
Yeah, so the universe shows us truth, or shows is an expression of truth, but is the universe in and of itself truth?
Yeah, for the reason I just named, right? Listen. This is getting caught up in the weeds, but you and I both. Let's say that we wrote your explanation down on paper,
Yeah.
right? And every time you said God, I said the universe. What would be the problem with my worldview that your worldview didn't have a problem with?
Right. The universe is the expression of that truth.
Okay, God is the expression of that truth. What does that mean? Right? I'm trying to find out. So, what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to find a symmetry breaker such that you saying God is the truth somehow isn't unremarkable, yet me saying the universe is truth is somehow unremarkable.
Right. When you say the universe is truth, it would be like if I had three rocks in front of me, and I said these three rocks are three.
Okay?
Are they three?
Yeah.
They're in and of themselves three.
They're the phenomena of three. Yeah, they're not the mouth sound three.
The three rocks. Are they the phenomena, or do they express the phenomena of three?
They're the phenomena. They exist.
Okay. So how long let's say I gave you three pebbles and you can measure them, and I said how wide are these pebbles, or how long are these pebbles? You would be able to give me some dimensions, right?
Okay?
Yeah. So if you're able to give me three-dimensional and fourth-dimensional dimensions, these are expressions of those things. It's not the things in and of itself. It's not three. For example, how tall is three?
Wait. Sorry. I'm sorry. 1 second. You think that? Let me try and steel man what you're saying. You think that if something takes up physical space, it's not a phenomena?
Not in the way that you're expressing it, like three being a phenomena. That makes
Okay,
sense.
then maybe we're using phenomena
Yeah.
different. Does it? Wait
It's
1 second. Does it? Wait.
yeah.
Yuji or Jim, is there like a standardly used definition in philosophy of what a phenomena is? I think I'm realizing right now that I don't have a good concept of. I thought it was just like I don't know, like something true about a state of affairs or something.
I'm not sure myself, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. So when I say phenomena, I mean like something that happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Something that happens or something that is happening. And I think those rocks are happening, right? Because they're rocking.
Yeah. They're definitely rocking.
The predicate of rock is instantiated in the thing that weighs 5 pounds that we can toss into a lake, and it like the
Right.
predicate of
Yeah.
right.
We have dimensions for these things, right?
Yeah. But
But now,
so,
if I
wait,
ask,
wait, wait, 1 second. Wait, we're in clarifying a definition.
yeah, please.
That's what I mean when I say phenomena. What do you mean?
When what I understand, I'm not using the word phenomena. That's I'm not saying that's your word, but that I'm using. I don't use that word in my
But when I
vocabulary.
furnish that word to explain the difference between rocks being three rocks and rocks being the phenomena of
Right.
individual things that have the law of identity, right? You
But
agreed with that.
that
So
doesn't comport to my understanding then of
okay,
phenomena.
then how, if you were to use the word phenomena, what would it mean?
If I was to use the word phenomena, it would be the assumption that I had that you had from the beginning, meaning that it does not express itself in the physical world in spatial temporal time or spatial temporal world.
Okay, so I think that Jim looked this up
The
in
philosophical
SCP.
definition of phenomenon.
Yeah, any object, fact, or occurrence perceived or observed. So okay, I was
So
so
your definition is more consistent with what you're saying.
yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, like I said, that word is not my vocabulary. So I'm talking.
That's fine. That's fine. But the substance, it doesn't matter if you know the word. The substance of my dispute still remains in that what makes it virtuous that you're saying God is truth that
Yeah.
makes it not virtuous that I'm saying the universe is truth.
Fair enough. Yeah. So let me go with that. So let me ask you a question to answer the question. To answer your question,
Yeah, go ahead.
how long is three?
I think that's an ill-formed question.
Right. How and you know how.
But I could say like 3 integers long. Like a number line can be 3 inches long. That's three long.
But yeah, but then we're bringing that into physical space.
And then
So
the number three would occupy 1 point on a number line, so I could say it's one number long, right? But like I don't know what you're asking.
so what you're doing is you're bringing three into physical space. But before three is brought into physical space, it exists outside of physical time.
Yeah, I would say it doesn't have a length.
Right. So right. So it doesn't have a length, doesn't have a width, doesn't have a height. So it doesn't part. It's not in any of the three dimensions, and it's how. Okay. So what's the duration of three?
So for the rocks, the duration of three.
Not the rock.
If we're talking about the phenomena of three, let's say it's three balls of paper instead, just for my analogy.
Yeah.
Let's say that it's three balls of paper. The phenomena of threeness is there, even if no minds exist, and it's only the three balls of paper and a volcano, right? If we throw the three balls of paper in the volcano, there would be a time where the phenomena of three no longer exists.
Right. But remember, we're not using phenomena. Remember, you clarified your definition of phenomena, and I said, okay, that's not the definition that I would use for what I'm talking about.
Oh, you're talking about like essence or something?
Let's call it essence, and if it becomes useless, then we'll drop it. But I think we can use
Okay.
essence now. So, like I said, what's the duration of three?
I don't know.
There's no that makes absolutely no sense, right? That's a nonsense
Yeah.
question. You said with
Yeah.
right. So that's what I'm talking about. So the universe, we can bring that into spatial temporal time. We may not necessarily say what's the length of the universe. That may also be hard to quantify, but it
No, the
may.
universe has a length. The universe has a shape. It's flat.
Perfect. So you understand what I'm saying then? So that's why I wouldn't say that the universe.
But it's also like the essence of you wouldn't say like I think that some of these are like predicates. Like you wouldn't say that like wet is red, right? Because those are both predicates. So it's not useful to ascribe a predicate to another predicate. But in so fact that what instantiates the essence of redness, right? The ball instantiates the redness. The car, the Corvette that your stepdad always wanted, instantiates the redness, right?
Mhm.
So, but it's not like we could say like wet is red or tall is red or fast is like like unsettling or like like
But red colors are different because colors really don't necessarily exist. It's just how our light ours.
yeah. But do they have an essence? Does everything have an essence?
No, I wouldn't say colors have an essence.
Wait. If there are things in the world, okay, then that's a problem. I think so. So my question is, what's your methodology for determining what in the universe has an essence versus what doesn't?
If red has an essence, it's because we as human beings observed it. If there were no human beings,
So the same thing with threeness.
hold on. If there were no eyeballs, right, in the world and no eyes to receive light, there would be no red. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. If there were no objects
But,
at
but
all,
to be clear, the phenomena would still exist.
Yeah,
There
no,
would just be no rods and cones to
right.
make it that color. Yeah.
right? And I understand what you mean by phenomena, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
For your definition. So now we have red, but now that same statement can it be true for threeness? So let's say we get rid of
Wait,
every.
wait, I'm asking you. You said redness doesn't have
I'm
essence.
saying, I'm saying no. I'm saying it
Right.
cannot
So,
be.
so my question is, what is different? What? So my question is this, and I want to say it very, very, very plainly.
Yeah.
What is it that's true of three that if it were true of red would make it have an essence? This is
Yeah.
named this is
Yeah.
named the tree
That's a
for
good
essence,
question.
bro.
That's a good question. That
Yeah.
it is dependent on us. It would be dependent on us. It would not be dependent on us.
Okay. So remember earlier when I was asking about your god and the property set, like Personer is this tall and he likes doing this kind of thing. We're imagining a property set of the essence of three.
Yeah.
What does the property set of red lack such that this property set is not an essence and this property set is an essence?
I would say it's an essence, but I would say it's a created.
Jim, if you want to clarify something, you can.
It's a created essence. It's a how do I explain? It's an emergent essence. If that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. I don't agree, but go ahead.
Listener,
Yeah,
just
I would
to-
say
just to
red. Oh, sorry,
clarify,
go on,
listener.
Jim.
Yeah, just to clarify, you're saying that like redness doesn't have an essence because if there was nobody around to observe, like redness, redness wouldn't be a thing
Right.
observable or something.
It's a emergent essence, meaning it emerges because we have eyes to observe it.
Right. So how is that?
Yeah,
how is that
exactly.
different than like the concept of three, right? Because
Okay.
if
Because
there's no
three is
line-
necessary.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm going. Yeah.
Well, how is three
Three,
necessary?
three is a quantitative predicate, right? It's not just meaning numbers. I mean, it's not qualitative. It's not dependent on like you could be a color nominalist and still have the phenomena of wavelength of photons, for example, right? Wavelength is a quantitative phenomenon, a quantitative universal, right? So when universals are like quantitative and necessary, it doesn't seem like we can be a nominalist about them so easily. Like color, I can nominalize. I can be colorblind, right? I could just not have that receptor, but I couldn't live in a world where the numerical value of pi
Correct.
wasn't real in some sense. So I can't nominalize numbers so easily, right?
Yeah, like so. Can you explain maybe in the view how in a world with no minds, three still exists?
Yeah.
There's nobody
Yeah,
to quantify.
it's going to be
if
The
there's no
phenomena
line-
exists, right, Mitch? The phenomena of three exists, but the language that the mathematics to describe that phenomena don't exist, right?
the language wouldn't
I'm having
wouldn't
difficulty. I'm having difficulty understanding how, in a world without agents or somebody to quantify, how things are still being quantified.
No, it's not being
Yeah, so-
quantified, but it's there.
right. It's just there. So so it wouldn't three doesn't exist in the world, right? Because it's aspatial, atemporal, and acausal. So it's gonna be a platonic existence, and so we wouldn't want to beg the question that just because there isn't anything physical instantiating a universal, that the universal then doesn't exist, unless we are being a nominalist, all right? Or we're saying something like universals exist, but only exist in particulars, like some kind of Aristotelian view, right? So there are ways of getting around it. It's just not so simple to be a nominalist about numbers when we depend on them. They're like indispensable. Colors are not so indispensable, especially when the phenomena behind the color is just like wavelength, right?
Right. I think Mitch has the better language than I do. I know what I'm saying. I just don't know how to say it. So I think I don't.
Mitch got a GED, so he's pretty smart.
I don't do the whole like philosophy thing. I just make up words as I best can.
No, you're good. Made up words are good. That's my 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth prompt. Linguistic realism. I hate it. What's the real definition? Fuck off, bro. I'm trying to tell you an idea, not a word.
Right. So I don't. So I guess so. From going back to your question, host, about what were you saying? You were saying my universe and God. So the reason that I would say the difference would be is that this this universe is spatial temporal. So because of that, it's an expression of truth or of God that the three rocks would be the expression of three.
Yeah, but what's different? What's different in this? So it's not a perfect hypothetical because, listen, when we say in a world where no minds exist, but two rocks exist, we're using our minds to like have a sneak peek into that hypothetical world. So our minds are perceiving the rocks, right? So it's like we know that they're there, right? But without minds, we know they would be there. But we're using our minds to peek in there, so it's kind of difficult.
You made me think of something. Let's say there's a veil, right? There's a clear veil, and there's a closed universe, but we can see in that clear veil.
Yeah.
In that closed universe, there is no minds whatsoever, but we also see two rocks.
Yeah.
So you and I, because we're outside of that universe, we see and we're able to quantify. And so, are there not two rocks in that universe?
They're the phenomena of two is there. The concepts or language is not there. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, exactly. So
Can I give an example?
Yeah. And also, wait, Personer, I do want to say that I think this is like we're at a point where I think it's worth thinking about this for a few minutes before we just keep trucking on. So I do want to move on to KOWDB.
yeah,
What's up, man?
So like I hear you guys examples, and it's hard because like because we have minds. So imagine this, like there's three rocks, right, on Earth, in the universe, and all minds cease to exist all at the same time. Do those rocks still exist?
Yeah.
And the number of rocks still exists at the
No,
moment
no,
that
no,
all
no.
those minds.
The phenomena of threeness exists.
Yes,
But,
yes.
but
So
three doesn't exist. Yeah.
so, but I don't think like when you said the universe is post eternal. What does that mean?
Oh, past eternal. I think that there's an infinite chain of antecedent conditions, like prior conditions.
Okay.
Yeah.
and at the very least, host, and I'll kind of drop off after this.
You're good.
I would say this is some type of evidence that would maybe even give you a whiff of a god or something. At the very least, if not proof, it's some type of evidential thing that you can think about.
I don't think we even got close to that, but I appreciate your optimism, right? I don't think anything was brought up that refutes my past eternal thing, which is my main epistemology for holding that belief, but that's fine. Yeah. I really appreciate the conversation, and you don't have to drop. We can talk about that in a minute. I just wanted to not like, put one person on the spotlight or whatever.
I'll stick around. I'll stick around.
Can I just chip into something because not the real Dwight is saying stuff in the chat about this, which I find kind of interesting. And
He's an idiot.
I know, yeah, but the conversation you guys are having about numbers, for example, the idea of there's threeness being a property that exists, absence of mind, to be able to quantify or abstract it into a language that we can understand threeness. It's a bit like terrain features existing, absent people to perceive them, but mapping is precisely what we do as a means to like quantify or abstract terrain features. And I think what like Mitch is saying is like he doesn't perceive the idea of like threeness existing. He just sees them as one and one and one. But to me, that's like almost a strictly eliminativist view of how you would look at terrain features, being like, well, it's not a hill. It's like a braid of glass bent at this direction, and then a mound of dirt bent at this direction. And yeah, you can reduce it to that way, but ultimately, that's not how we like look at things conceptually. I think I agree with host that threeness is a latent quality of the universe, even if we were.
Yeah. That's actually really interesting that hill analogy you said, because it's almost like you're like using the composition division fallacy, but in a way to try and describe the thing, right? It's
Exactly.
look at all these parts, but it's not the whole thing. It's just the parts. It's like, okay, like we could call a wall a brick on a brick on a brick on a brick next to a brick next to a brick on a brick. Like we could do that, but like it has this emergent property of wallness that just seems to encapsulate what we mean.
Yeah, like absent humans, like hydrogen would still exist, and you can break that down and say, well, I don't think it's a hydrogen. I think it's its constituent chemical parts, but that doesn't really do anything. It doesn't change the fact that hydrogen exists.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. My question is it supposed to do anything? Is my question.
Is the hydrogen supposed to do anything, or what?
When someone says that doesn't really do anything, I'm thinking there's
I think what they mean is like a colloquial way of saying it doesn't really explain a lot of things that we want explained.
Yeah, I was agreeing with you. I was agreeing with both of you guys. I also think that it's a case that like threeness is a property that exists absent of conscious minds to perceive it. But the number three is an abstractive
It's a language.
to
Yeah,
each other. Yeah.
Right.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, KOWDB. What did you have a specific prompt you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, good reasons for gods. I don't think there are any good reasons for gods because if you look at the worldview, the view
I
of
have a question. So I just want to clarify. I'm against all these positions. I don't believe in a god. I don't think eating meat is good. I'm pro-choice. I don't think alpha males are real. I think they're dumb. I don't believe in. So if you're trying to argue
yeah,
against me for God, I'm just going to agree with you.
no. So
Okay.
I think I'm agnostic.
Uh-huh.
So I hear both sides. So people that say that there had to be a creator, there had to be a initial uncaused cause. That doesn't make sense to me. Because from our observable universe, nothing like that exists that we can verify. And then from your perspective, you're saying that it's a post eternal thing where basically
Past eternal.
there's
It's funny because
past
post
eternal,
and past mean complete opposites, and it's like a symbol
yeah.
like misspeak. But yeah. Past eternal.
That doesn't make sense either. So my conclusion is that
So can I explain that? Did you
existence
hear me explain it
is
earlier?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, then go ahead. Then go
So
ahead.
either both of those situations to me seem paradoxical. Like
Well,
it
it depends
doesn't
on what do you
seem
mean
like
by paradoxical.
it seems like neither of those situations or explanations can possibly be true.
So, what is the contradiction that arises from an infinite chain of antecedent conditions?
Because there's nothing that we can observe and find empirical evidence to it's besides using reason
Wait,
inductive or
sorry.
deductive logic.
I understand what you're saying about we can never prove it. I'm not asking if we can prove it. I'm saying, does something about that position result in absurdity in a clear way such that you can elucidate that?
I would say it seems absurd to me that it
W.
just maybe it's just my intuition. All of
Yeah.
it seems just so absurd.
I mean, it's not absurd to believe that your intuitions, are somewhat like I get it. Like we have intuitions, but especially when dealing with infinite sets, intuition is just not going to be your friend. With like, you're telling me an infinite set can have a beginning and an end, and yet be infinitely many. Like, what does that mean? Like, I don't get it. But it is true, and people who are a lot smarter than us like know that.
So I guess maybe it's just the whole concept of infinite
Have you heard this? Energy can't be created or destroyed.
in a closed system.
Yeah. Do you think the universe is a closed system?
Uh, I think the universe, as far as we can perceive, is, but
So
I also
I
believe
agree. I
that
agree. We could be wrong. We're always going to take that with a grain of salt. I'm not trying to pin you down or hold you anything. If energy can't be created or destroyed, premise one: energy can't be created or destroyed. Premise two: there exists energy. Premise or conclusion: that energy was not created. And if the kind of thing that does creating is a creator, there's not one of those, right?
yeah,
So it seems to me that we can easily derive a contradiction from a cause being uncaused, but
yes, yeah.
we can't easily derive a contradiction between an infinitely past chain of events.
I would say that yeah, I would agree with you. I guess the situation that I've arrived at is um I can't verify this infinite
Oh,
uh
true. We agree that it's like implausible even, right?
yeah,
But we've already admitted that the cause being uncaused or energy that can't be created being created, that's impossible, right?
yeah, yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take an implausible view over an impossible one any day. That's fine.
And I have an issue with the whole concept of God, like even as a creator. Like, well, if you feel like it's necessary to have a creator, and you use the word predicates, the only predicate you need for this creator is this creator to be more intelligent than you, and that's it.
Wait, why does that follow? Wait, what if the only predicate true of this thing is that it, like, let's say it has no intelligence, no anything, no predicates, and the only predicate true of this thing was the ability to create a universe with sentient life. What's the impossibility of that?
I would say if I would say it's the having no intelligence and also having that ability is unlikely
Right, but you said
because
impossible.
we have intelligence and we can't do that.
Well, what does that mean? That's just like an appeal to popularity or something.
So I mean, how can something that has that we have more intelligence than have more ability than us?
Yeah, because it has one predicate, and the predicate that it has is the ability to create a universe that makes KOWDB question the God that created him like a dumbass, right? Like that's it. Yeah, yeah. So yeah. Thanks for the convo, man. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Personer, you have anything else you want to say? You can talk to somebody else on the panel. I think maybe that would facilitate a better like hashing out an
I
understanding.
thought real quick, and I want you guys can play around with this thought in your mind. It was because of philosophy that we got to science, right? And then once we got to
Wait,
science,
1 second. We have a scientist here. Mitch, is that true?
Sorry, what was said?
it's because of philosophy that we got to science, that we were able to
Yeah.
science, right?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
seems like once we got
Science
to
used to be
science,
called natural philosophy. Yeah.
right? And it seems like once we got to science, we decided to stop with philosophy and continue on with science. Not all of us, but there are some people that are out there like, oh, it's only science, forget about philosophy. And I'm like, I don't think we should do that. I think we should continue philosophizing.
What are we doing right now?
No, I'm not saying no. I'm glad.
Yeah,
we're
with
doing
philosophy.
this is just a comment to
Yeah.
what we're doing right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think there's a fair criticism to be made. I have a video, for example, about like Neil deGrasse Tyson and a couple of other like science popularizers. They say we don't need philosophy anymore. Look, philosophy birthed science, and now we have science, and science tells us there are definitely positivists who still exist who are out there telling people we don't need philosophy, but that in itself is just another philosophical claim.
Yeah.
We definitely couldn't derive
That's
that
what we're doing.
scientifically, right? So yeah, I definitely get that criticism, and I agree.
So last question, Personer, right? And then we probably need to clear up space. You and KOWDB. Last question is: if you could squirt 2 fluids out of your thumbs, what would they be and why?
Just milk because it's just useful.
Milk out of one thumb. What about the other one?
Well, I guess diet Pepsi.
Nice. All right. Have a good day, man. And then KOWDB. What would you pick if you had 2 thumb liquids?
I like that he just didn't have any issue with that question. He just went straight to answering.
Me
it.
too.
Never asked anything.
Me too. I follow that guy.
Gold and platinum in liquid form.
Nice. Your W. One of mine is liquid gold. Yeah. All right. Have a good day, man. I'm gonna drop you a follow as well. You seem like a pretty cool guy. If anybody's in the comments, tap the screen, share the live if you want. But if anybody has something that they want to say about God or meat or pro-choice or anti-choice, or if you think that Andrew Tate's a cool guy, come on up. If you think that there are like objective definitions, come on up. If you think that I look like what you thought I would look like, Ismar, fucking come up. I'm just kidding. I saw that comment. I don't know if you're still here, but
Yeah.
he said you don't look how I thought you would look. I was like, what is that? What does that mean?
For some reason, when I think someone's like smart, I'm like, they must be ugly. Like I have this like natural reaction of like, if I hear someone's voice and they seem smart, I'm like, all right, maybe he's ugly, but you're a good looking dude, bro.
They're like compensating for something. So yeah. Tap the screen if you guys think that there are true definitions. Come on up. You know. I don't think that top guy Personer. This is to everybody. Like I don't think that I was tracking what he was saying at all. But I'm not yet angry enough to like call people out for nonsense. But I think what he was saying was just like God is truth. I agree that truth exists. What like I don't get what's useful about that. Wit, do you take issue with people defining God like that?
No.
Okay. So you think God is truth as well?
Yeah, I believe Christ is the truth.
Oh, nice. Okay. So he wasn't using some like fringe definition. I'm just unfamiliar with that being like a popular.
No, I mean he declared himself to be the truth. So
Wait, what do you mean Christ is the truth? So like
he's
when I
kind
go
of.
to court and I put my hand on the Bible, are they telling me like to tell Christ the whole Christ and nothing but the Christ? Is that what they're saying?
I don't. I think what is meant by that is that like truth is a person, and you come to the truth by following
Wait,
the
truth
way
is
in
a
this
person?
sense.
How is
Mhm.
truth a person? Like, I take truth to be like
You can't do it with Christ.
the conclusion of like a bivalent proposition. So
Okay.
like a proposition could either be true or false. So how does that correspond with the person being true or false?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from, I guess, like this perspective, I'm not really sure that, like, I would hold to some kind of theory of truth of it being just some kind of, you know, abstract understanding of these things. So I'm not really sure what you're
Wait, so you
asking.
wouldn't hold to like some correspondence theory of truth or something?
No.
So what is your theory of truth?
I'm not really sure that I would hold any sort of or lean towards any sort of like theory of truth as it pertains to philosophy.
Well, then how do you know that Christ is truth if you don't even understand what truth is? Like, in order for you to say that like Christ holds some value of
So Jim, right there's just going to be a simple equivocation on truth. You mean like a true proposition, and wit means it means God.
yeah, so I'm trying to just get an explanation on what her understanding of truth is.
Yeah, I mean, I think from this perspective, like, you know, coming to the knowledge and the understanding of these things, like I would say that like knowledge in itself is revealed unto us as far as that goes.
Yeah.
What makes that what would make that true is thus the person in Christ.
So, any proposition is made true in virtue of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
How does Jesus make propositions true?
Because he is the truth.
Yeah, but that's like a true proposition, right? So it seems kind of circular if you're saying that Jesus is the truth, but what makes things true is Jesus. I'm trying to understand, like, well, how do you decipher things being true? If you're saying like the truth maker of propositions is Jesus, like how does that cash out? So like if I were to make a proposition like, you know, I like doing drugs, how is Jesus the truth maker of that proposition?
You guys want to table this? And then
No, I mean it's fine. I guess I would just have to have a bit more understanding as far as that goes. I was gonna ask Mitch some kind of question, but yeah, I mean I think like the statement, you know, I like doing illicit substances at this point. I guess that would be true in virtue of that knowledge has been revealed unto me by you, the agent, that you indeed like illicit substances.
But I thought knowledge is, or truth is knowledge revealed onto you by Christ, right? Now you're saying
Well,
it's
I mean,
true because I'm revealing it to you.
there's some kind of, I guess you would say, like hierarchically, in the sense that like I wouldn't have any knowledge or any access to truth without the person of Christ, but I wouldn't be able to reveal such knowledge unto you about the truth of such a proposition without Christ. So it's dependent upon him.
So are you just saying that like all propositions regarding Christianity are true in virtue of Christ? Is that what you're trying to say more succinctly? Okay, so then it's just like, that's kind of like trivial, right? When you say like your notion of truth, what you're really trying to say is that like what makes Christianity true is Christ, but not like truth simplicator, right? That's kind of like truth within the realm of like this Christian theology.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that like, you know, the the understanding of our faith, the true statements about our faith, all begin with Christ, and thus His revelation, and they don't. There's nothing outside of that as far as that goes.
Yeah, I get it, but you know what I mean by like, truth simplicator, kind of like just truth on its own, right? There's going to be a distinction between like what's understood as truth in a general sense and what's understood as like truth within like Christian theology or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, are you saying that like I guess maybe I would have to get more into like the simplicator, but like, are you saying that like what would be like, I guess the simplicator of the true statement of you liking illicit substances would be you revealing such knowledge? Is that what you're trying to say? Or maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Saying that like when we're talking about truth, if you're holding to like, let's say, some type of like truth maker theory or something, right? That there's going to be something that makes those propositions true, right? So for example, in the example of me liking to do shrooms or something, right? What makes that true is kind of like my own preferences. That has nothing to do with Christ making that true. But like what it seems like you're trying to say when you say something like, well, Christ is truth, or truth is grounded in Christ, what you aptly are trying to say is that truth about Christianity, or kind of like Christian theology or Christian doctrine, is made true in virtue of Christ, right? But not truth in a general sense. That's kind of like truth in a more narrow sense, right? Truth regarding all propositions that are held within Christianity are true in virtue of Christ.
Yeah,
I'm not
really sure that that's necessarily what I'm saying. I would say that like any true proposition, regardless of whether that's like within the realms of theology or outside of it, is dependent upon the person of Christ, being that I wouldn't be able to have knowledge or any access to truth without Christ. That's
I don't know if you
what I'm
want to
saying.
listen and have Rasul chip in.
Yeah,
Sounds-
that's
up to you.
Yeah, I wanted to
I
ask
was-
Mitch something, but that's fine. You can go ahead with your solid.
no. Wait, please. I want you. Yeah.
I didn't know if, and I guess Jim could go into it too because he studies philosophy, but is there anything that like within the realms of philosophy that talks about like existence or like ontology not necessarily being rooted in some kind of like substance dichotomy, like material versus non-material, if there's any sort of like reading as far as that goes, that maybe like a certain philosopher would say that like ontology or this existence or the nature of being, existence of being, whatever, isn't necessarily rooted in this sort of dichotomy of like material versus immaterial. I don't know if there's any sort of reading on that.
Yeah. So basically, idealism, Berkeley's idealism, is kind of came about to form as like a modern day monism, right? So a non-dualist metaphysical approach. So it deals with existence in terms of it deals with existence in terms of we're all of the same substance, just in different forms, kind of thing. So yeah, idealism, reductive physicalism. These are like maybe places to start with modern forms of monism.
Okay. Yeah, because I think I was sort of having a discussion with Dwight down in the comments, but like, I'd asked him as far as like the existence of three, right? And us like having some kind of discussion about that. I mean, I would take issue with like sort of like a Platonic form as far as that goes, like some kind of like substance. of three that exists in some kind of like abstract form, and more of like when I asked him the question of like the existence of three being dependent upon like my mind, that was something he agreed to, and him elucidating on the fact that like we utilize the number three to like group things, right, in this sense. And so it seems to me that like the existence isn't necessarily a some kind of like substance or abstract in this sense. It's more of how it serves its purpose and thus its end. So like I wouldn't be able to like understand three, right, have knowledge of three, even know what three is if it didn't like serve such a purpose, right, i.e. like grouping things. So it seems to me that like the existence of three would be rooted in thus its purpose. And I just didn't know if maybe there was somebody like within the philosophical, whether that be like, ancient philosopher or modern, that would like maybe, discuss something like that, or if not.
Well, Berkeley might be like the first kind of modern philosopher, like post-Renaissance, to talk about it. So he has this idea that material substances are unnecessary and unintelligible. So even though it's called like Berkeley's idealism, it's more like a immaterialism, and that might be
Okay.
it.
Well, I mean, maybe I can like bring forth sort of like an example, and like the existence of a tower. Like, obviously the tower and like my recognition of something, right? It's got material substance, right? And then it's physical. But like maybe the question I could ask is that like if I deconstruct the tower, if I take it down by brick, like at what point does that tower no longer exist?
Right.
Right. So
when is like a pile, a heap, or something?
right. And so in this sense, like the existence of the tower isn't necessarily rooted in something like material substance, right? The existence of the tower is rooted in that's its purpose, and it's serving as a tower, right? So like to me, existence, like this dichotomy, it seems to be a false one anyway, kind of a dialectic that I would have to be like that's being posed at this point, that like I have to talk about existence in the sense of like substance, where I would say that like existence is rooted in like its purpose. So the tower no longer exists because it no longer thus serves its purpose as a tower.
Can't function as a tower.
Yeah, so there are a few philosophies that deal with there are a few so yeah, idealism maybe not then, but maybe not this also, but pragmatism might be a place to start in terms of
Okay.
this is less to do with metaphysics and more to do with epistemology. So pragmatism is like something is true when it serves a purpose. But then in terms of existence, Mariology might be where you want to go, and maybe even like a dialectical materialism. So dialectical materialism is that like this existence is not it's not based on some ontological substance. It's like this you have a thing, right? A synthesis, and like a function, and then you have the antithesis, like taking it down, and then you have like the basically the combination of the two to form a new synthesis. So that you can see that in kind of Hegel, and then later Marx uses that to kind of talk about historical dialectical materialism instead, which is a bit different. But yeah, Hegel might be actually, or things about Hegel, because Hegel's fucking horrible to read. But
Yeah.
But
At
yeah,
least I've heard that as far as
maybe.
that goes. Yeah, it's very like in depth, but I guess I have an issue with like because assigning such like necessary properties for like certain things in like a substance way, like say something like a chair, um, you know, to reduce it to some kind of property it must obtain, right, in order to be classified as a chair. I think there's a real kind of problem in the sense that, like, if I sit on something, right, like, you know, to that end, like, it serves a purpose as like a chair for me, right? But, like, you could sit on top of me, right? And, like, I'm not classified as a chair. So, um, like, the existence of a chair and thus, like, it would be hard anyway to like for someone to sit here and say, well, this chair, you know, is a chair because it has, you know, four legs and a flat surface to sit on or anything like that. Like you could, you know, a chair could have two legs, it could have all this. Like it's very to reduce it to some kind of like material, thus to reduce its existence in some kind of like material understanding. I find that to be a hard task to take on, if that makes sense.
Like a beanbag chair. Like it's like
Yeah,
none of the properties that you would expect of a chair are there, yet it is a chair.
right. So like in this sense, like, you know, it it for me, like recognizing like the existence of things, um, you know, would be served in this its purpose and understanding and um, I don't I don't think that like it's necessarily reduced to like some specific property as far as that goes.
Mitch, it's interesting you mentioned Mariology and study of parts and wholes because that's exactly what came to my mind. I mean, the tower's made up of parts of bricks and the chairs made up of different atoms and parts. That made me think of Mariology as well.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I think you know, maybe that's somewhere I can start as far as that goes. I sort of got like this understanding from at least the reading in my theology and you know, I don't know if I necessarily have like a complete picture of what that necessarily means, but it seems to make more sense to me that like this idea of like chaos and order, existence and non-existence is sort of rooted in this understanding of purpose, that, you know, bringing about existence is bringing like chaos thus into order, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Didn't Aristotle have a lot to say about this? And he's kind of made a comeback in the last few years in terms of people looking at what Aristotle said about substances and materials. I'm no expert on it, but maybe somebody
Yeah,
is.
I'm not really sure. Like, I think maybe the book that it's been a while since I've read it, but it may have touched on like, because like I'm not going to hold to like Aristotle has many things that he talked about. I don't.
Is a view that things only exist insofar as they have purpose.
I think that that's probably a simple line as far as that goes. So like it was more touching on like our understanding of like ex nihilo, right? Creation, nothing into something, right? So nothingness in this sense wasn't that like it wasn't like some like conception of like substance in the sense of like when God created us out of nothing, it wasn't like I'm not even sure if we could conceptualize of like nothing. Like it's a very hard thing to conceptualize. But like that wouldn't be at least the understanding from like the specific book that I'm reading about like it wouldn't be the understanding like ex nihilo creation, and that like the nothingness was like the chaos, if you will, like this understanding of the chaos, and that like God bringing the chaos into order and bringing that into being, right, into existence. So this sort of understanding is sort of without any like purpose that I serve unto, I guess in relation to, as far as that goes, then it doesn't have any existence, I guess, is sort of its understanding.
What was it like you talk about a material cause, is the material something's made out of, but I think to Aristotle, like in substance dualism, and the substance is not material. Maybe that the substance you're talking about is like an immaterial substance or part of God or something that existed with God
Yeah,
that
no,
was not
I think that
material.
was this. Yeah, that was sort of the. I think it was pushing back on this notion that like we're talking about like the ontology, the being, the existence of things. It's often set up. The dialectic is set up between like material versus non-material, substance versus non-substance, and this kind of notion was being like pushed back upon, and that like I have to like work within such a framework to talk about like being in existence. And I just didn't know if outside of maybe like the discussion within our faith and our theology, because these things go very in depth as far as that goes in the revelation of Christ, if there was any philosophers that may have had like not so much a dichotomy of like material versus non-material, and when they're talking about like the existence of being or an existence in being and ontology. So that's what I was sort of pushing back upon, because it seems to me like the number 3, like, and Dwight pointed this out succinctly, in that like he didn't necessarily disagree with me that like the existence of 3, I'm not even sure we would really understand that as human beings if it didn't serve a purpose, right? Grouping, sets of things, and as far as that goes, our disagreement would probably become more of just like the source of that purpose. Whether that like the principle being myself, right, or God, right? That would be where our contention is. So he just didn't
I think if
necessarily
you
agree with that.
the Alex Malpass Rob Coons debate, it doesn't have great audio, but in the last few months they had a debate and they were talking about the substance sort of stuff like you're talking about, associated with God and creation, and it may have some information there if anybody's interested.
Okay, yeah, that's really just what I want to ask, because I do have an interest in learning, more about philosophy and how to reason better. I just didn't know if maybe there was like some kind of philosopher out there that maybe push back on the notion of existence and being and ontology being rooted in like this dichotomy of material versus non-material. So
That was a really cool discussion. Thanks, guys, for having that. Yeah.
sometimes I say cool things. I don't know.
Yo, Wit.
You might not like
One
Rob.
second, Dr. Tooth. Speaking of cool discussions, sorry I had to leave. I was gonna crash out on that guy. I had never met him before. I clicked on his profile. I saw that he was a mod, and I was like, but then he said, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Like that, like Tiny specifically is. He jokes, but there's some underlying hostility whenever I come in there, and so
yeah, you can tell. You can easily tell. Yeah.
So
I just didn't want to be, even if you guys are friends, I didn't want to be in the middle of the like choosing something.
I don't know if we put. I don't know if I classify it as like a friendly relationship, but
oh well,
he's
coexistence.
There's amicability in that, like he allows me to come up there or whatever and talk, but Yeah, no, I appreciate you like defending me and like
Yeah.
saying I was trying to ask a specific question about
And he didn't
Temple
answer
today,
it.
and he would no, he dodged it
He
completely.
started. He started. Did he ever answer it?
Well, he did eventually talk about the Babylonian era and like all this
Okay.
stuff. He
Yeah.
is a bit more learned on it, but like the part I was getting frustrated with, and you can tell that there's some bias on Tiny's part that like
Yes.
he very much was like,
Yeah.
Whitney, what's the point of you asking this
I
question? I'm like, well, I'm like, you guys
he
want me to
started
have
yapping.
a discussion, so yeah, he was
You said,
yapping.
tell me about second century. What was it? The second what?
Tiny goes live and it says, "I'm an atheist. Ask me anything," and then all he does is ask you questions.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not really sure. I was more pushing just back on the notion of like Judaic thought being like a monolith, right? So
Yeah.
in this sense, I was more just trying to get his understanding because it seemed like he had like at least some kind of like monolithic view of like Judaic thought and that it only follows one line. And historically, this isn't the case, obviously.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about the councils before. Like, I know how knowledgeable you are about it. Like, at least like the verbal stuff getting made into the Bible and stuff like that. Like so
yeah, I mean,
I was like, there's no way that Wit's asking like an unrelated question.
Yeah.
So the fact that this random guy is not answering, I was like, hey, look, you can talk to Wit, talk to anybody, but pipe the fuck down. And then I clicked on his profile, and he was a mod, and that kind of made me just even more mad. I was like, okay, so this guy's coming from a place of like, I'm the boss in this room, I'll mute you or whatever, and I was just like, fuck off.
Yeah, we came to a more amicable place towards the
That's
end.
good.
I
That's
mean,
good.
he was charging Christianity with like a lot of things and
Like LARPing and
motivations,
stuff.
but I mean, as far as that goes,
Well, you
I
know,
wasn't really looking to like fight him on it.
It seemed like he was looking for a fight, right?
Oh well, of course he was. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's fine. I just
Tiny.
yeah,
We're
I'm talking
talking
about
about
Tiny.
Bert.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, I do have many frenemies. That's for sure. Do I have many frenemies?
Man, that sure was one lousy discussion.
Dude, Slurms, your character you were doing
no,
this there, where it's like, that makes me want to take a swing at you.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
you know, I've
No,
talked to
I
Tiny
appreciate it.
privately
A lot of the
because
time I get, yeah, a lot of the time, especially within his live, I don't get a lot of charity as far as that
Yeah.
goes, and that's fine. I'm used to some hostility. I just
I've talked to
appreciate it.
Justin W about this exclusively. We had a 30-minute combo about it, and I like mentioned like him, you, like PRK. There are people. No, I'm not saying that you guys all like have the same level of competency when it comes to like debating religion or even like spreading the word or something. I'm just saying like there are Christians that come up here and question God and leave, and there are Christians up here who come up, demand that we don't know what we're talking about, and get mad and leave. But you, like Justin, PRK, there are these people who believe, and they sit around people all day who disagree with them. And I think if we're comparing like the efficacy of changing people's minds, I think you guys are doing it the better way.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
I'm willing to listen and have a discussion and kind of find some common ground. I think it's just, there's a lot of hostility, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of pain. So
Yeah.
I get it, and like me being up there, it's kind of easy to, sort of take that out on me as
about
far as that
Tiny.
goes.
Let me say something about Tiny. When you go into Tiny's live, and he and I have talked about it privately, I've noticed a difference in Tiny in the last couple of months where there is more hostility. And if he disagrees with you and you're a theist, you're lying. And, I'm like, what makes you think I would want to lie to you to convince you of something that's a lie? It's something we just disagree on.
Yeah, I mean, I think like that's what I'm saying is that like he's gonna I'm just poking at you and having fun and
Right.
doing all these things, and
Yeah.
he veils it in that, whereas like there's some obvious hostility. I mean, I'm not an idiot, so like
Yeah, exactly.
it's
Nobody
fine.
is.
Like
Nobody
you're
is.
welcome to do that. Like even when I'm like up on a panel, sometimes he'll come in and like say something about the church fathers or whatever, and I generally just ignore it. I don't
To be honest,
really engage it. So
To be honest, that's why I originally prompted like maybe you guys can table this, because I think maybe I was still on edge from that conversation last night, and I didn't know whether Jim was like kind of like poking at you the same way. Then
No.
you guys then you guys reach an
Jim and I
actual.
are actually very good friends.
I know that you guys. I know that you guys.
Jim's
are,
a poker.
I guess I wasn't sure whether like having that like harassment last night and then just immediately today being like, so what does Jesus truth mean? I was like, I don't know if that's
no.
Yeah.
I think he's just trying
Jim
to.
is not tiny at all. Jim's a good guy. He
Yeah,
looks
Jim's
out. He
not
looks
tiny at
out
all.
for,
Jim's huge.
he looks out for wit too. I think as a friend.
No, I think.
Yeah, baby.
No, him and I have had, I guess you can say, quote unquote, battles with each other about like our reasoning and our understanding. But like whenever I do talk with him, he's more doing it to like, help me be a better reasoner and, as far as that goes. And like he may press me and things like that, but I don't. He's definitely not in the same vein as far as that goes.
Tiny was definitely talking to the audience. Right.
I was poking her on this issue because we've
You
had
were
this
what?
conversation about. We've had this conversation about what she means when she says Jesus being truth.
Yeah.
And we kind of came to a conclusion, but then she forgets everything we talk about, and then she's back at this silly nonsense.
Yeah.
So full of shit.
Hey, so Dr. Truth, do you have a prompt that you wanted to talk about that's not God?
I hadn't really even looked up here. What is? Let me just say one thing. Right up the road from you, though, at UT Austin, Rob Coons. You may not like him because he's Catholic, but Oppie and Malpass will say that he sort of quite often sets the agenda in terms of like theist-atheist debate. So he's somebody that mentions Aristotle. He mentions in terms of quantum mechanics and stuff. What's been eating meat? I don't really want to talk about that. I mean, I think there are good reasons for God, obviously. Is that excluded from the talk, or what are we saying, Zach?
Oh, yeah, so...
Nobody ever wants to talk about phalangical fluid, which is weird.
Yeah, it's so weird, right? And so I'm against all of these positions. So if you are for eating meat, or you are for, like, pro-life, aka anti-choice, or if you think that alpha males are not a dumbass concept, we can talk about any of this.
Right. No, I'm just almost to work. I'm just kind of hanging in there listening to you guys. And,
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Slurms, you're you're going to soup.
You don't eat meat?
I don't eat meat, no.
That's why you look sick?
Oh my God.
I bought some vegan shampoo. It tasted terrible.
Hey, that's his joke.
Slurs, have you had your phalangical fluid checked lately? Because that's something that can come up.
Dr. Truth, I refuse to talk about this topic of the phalangical fluid. I'm sick of it. I'm sick and fucking tired of it.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to understand,
maybe it's a
like, why you're
one-off
against
thing.
it. Like, why are you against this?
Well, cause you know
Whitney-
why he's against it because he picked
Whitney-
frothy. He picked frothy
What?
ejaculate. That's why he's against it.
What?
Shut up. Where have you been? I haven't seen you on TikTok in days.
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I keep going on. I'm like, hey, where's the gang? And the only person I ever see on it lately is this imposter, Zach, out of nowhere. I'm like,
I was
look
on
who's
yesterday. I was on for
TikTok.
like
Ah,
a few
it's just
hours.
Zach again. Talking
I was
about
on
his
for like a few
phalangical
hours.
fluids.
Dude, I sent him like a bubble pop or like some reward, and he goes, "You're invading all my spaces."
Slurms, how's your fluid dynamics? Just be honest.
Dr. Truth, I've been on, it's been like a year, still going on 2 years. I'm tired of you asking about my fluids. All right?
No, this is really the first time.
I respect you, but
Thank you. I
He
just
doesn't
am glad
respect
that
you. Don't listen.
of course. I'm just glad that Grayson took down his video, Slurms, because I was afraid that that was becoming too intrinsic to your very existence.
well, I
Ew,
regret,
Jim,
I
Jim,
regret
stop
that you
saying
took
gross
down
stuff.
that video. You know, look, it's Kaysen's fault for twink posting. All right.
It's true. He shouldn't have done that.
Wait, what's the T?
Huh?
T
Oh,
is for twink.
yeah.
Hey,
Kaysen posted a thirst trap, and that's
Well, the
fine.
thing is, that would have been fine. But the funny thing about it was like fucking like a minute long, and that's just what made it so funny. It's like, what is this? Why does it keep going?
Worms, you could make, that lady on Instagram, I forget her name, but it'll show like a model doing some crazy moves and wearing nothing, and then she comes on there and she sort
Wait,
of
what?
mimics it. This lady on Instagram, I can't remember her name, my wife follows her,
Oh,
but
your
you could,
wife follows the woman who's like nude on Insta. Okay, go ahead.
well, no,
yeah,
she just
for
does this
sure.
mimicking things. You could make a parody video of your own body with, mimicking Kaysen's movements on the video.
You want to see my dad bod flexing in the style of Kaysen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I'm afraid there's some
Wait,
things you just
Slurms. The answer is more than anything.
Okay, yeah, I'll be sure to film that.
Wait, turn your
You know-
camera on, pussy.
See,
Now, they're
Zach, I just want you to know that, like, I mean, I know that you were sort of, reactive to how it went yesterday, but I just want you to know that, like, Jim was up in my live yesterday, and I pretty much calmed him down because he was getting all aggressive. So I'm kind of an atheist whisperer when it comes to that. And
Yeah, no,
okay, it's fine.
I've actually picked up on your mannerisms that quell the urge to rage, and you're aware of some of them. But if I can just recapitulate, so you're talking to somebody, right? You're gonna want to make sure you pause and pace yourself, right?
Mhm.
And just clearly lay out your points,
Right.
and just a little audible breath, right? And that's it. And then there's nothing they can do about it, right?
Right.
But I'm a person who has simile Tourette's as well, or some, I don't know if you can say that, but I say like so much and I say right so much. Like it's almost at the end of every premise of my argument. I go, so we agree, you guys all good. Is that right?
Did you say you have simile Tourette's?
Yeah. You know what a simile is?
Yes.
When you use like or as. I use like.
I've never heard it. Never heard it phrased that way is all.
Do you
Yeah,
use
but-
as too?
Bo
Maybe you should
Burnham.
bring as into it
Yeah.
more.
You had me at bring that as. I'm just kidding. So
I think if we saw one more thing about the dad bod that was mentioned, I think that could be proof
That's
positive.
still out of my
He's
my
really
body's
stuck on the
still
dad
out of
I'm
bod.
my
talking about my dad bod fluids.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
I
no, go ahead,
understand. Like,
Dr. Drew.
I really appreciate like the charity that you were giving. It's just you'll probably, if I go up into any other lives, might have to do that, But it's fine.
Well,
He wants to write
so
it off.
I guess moving
That's
forward,
it.
you would like me to just let you handle yourself? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's fine. Like I'm really not
Okay.
used to people giving me. I mean, I am to some degree, being that like some of the people that I know and that I've interacted with are willing to give me that charity, but
Yeah.
often I confront people that don't know me and they just sort of like let the aberration happen. I have no problem with people intervening. I'm just
Look,
Yeah.
man, Wit's just a woman out here getting by in the world, just doing
Yeah.
her
So
best.
wit. Sorry. Some we're talking about something that I care about. Wit. You're saying that like you requested to go up there, knowing what space you were in and what the
Sure.
possibilities were. And if I'm looking for a reason to rage and I want to rage out on some fucktard who's yelling at you, I can do that.
You
But
can do that. Yeah, you're more than
you
welcome.
took the risk, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think like look,
Right.
that Addy guy came up there and he seemed to be somebody who was like fairly
Yeah,
new to his
yeah,
inquiry of
he seemed
Christianity, and
afraid.
I could already tell that like maybe some people like people were gonna jump on the opportunity to kind of
Convert him.
talk about some kind of
Yeah.
conversion away from it. And I was like, look, if you have questions about that, like I'm more than willing to help. And it's ultimately up to him whether he accepts it or not. So
Yeah.
it's
No,
fine.
but-
And so I did that, and I knew as soon as I did that, it was gonna like open up inquiry into my faith.
Yeah, but
So-
the difference, what I hate about it is the hypocrisy, right? Because I rendered this guy the problem of evil argument in two different ways, right? And you didn't say a word.
no.
and then somebody else talked about him about why they didn't believe, and you didn't say a fucking thing. And then you go, "Hey man, if you need help interpreting those Bible passages, I'm a Christian. You can DM me." And they go, "Oh, but isn't that just a fucking superstition that you're little?" Yeah, it's like,
No, there's
like,
definite hypocrisy. I mean,
yeah,
I could
like
be a
I
hypocrite
don't
too.
fucking get it.
I like there. It definitely is. Like, there's obvious
Yeah.
bias in that, but like, like I said, it's like,
But my whole thing is like I care about the good reasons part. If God is true, okay. If God is not true, okay. But if you accidentally get God right because you're believing in bad reasons, I care more that you have good reasons because that's gonna think that like you can
well, no, I mean, I
find truth
listened
elsewhere.
to you talking about the logical and evidential problem of evil, and of course, I've interacted with that quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes I sort of pick my battles as far as that goes. So I have no real issue with people posing certain ideas as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But it does seem that, whenever I say, hey, if you want to have this understanding from this perspective, you're more than welcome to.
What, from your book of fairy tales?
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to discuss that, then I'm willing to do that. And as soon as I do, they're just like, all over me.
They're
about
like,
it.
"Wait, are you gonna talk for 5 minutes straight about this?" And you're like, "I just said DM me, bro." Yo,
Yeah.
Summer, what's up?
What's up?
Hey,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about one of the? I saw you had a question. Do you have good reasons to believe in a God or eating meat or any of these prompts?
I just want to know what you mean by good reason.
Yeah, like reliable pathways or reliable
Hang on, I'm
mechanisms.
putting headphones in real quick.
Oh, okay, cool. Let me know whenever you're ready.
Whit may be a cordial Kansas girl that lives in Texas, but she was hunting somebody the other day. I can't remember who it was, but it was like Hunger Games. She was going after him. It was like
I didn't.
garroting him.
I don't live in Texas anymore.
She did
and
an
I'm not all that
intellectual.
close.
She was garroting him intellectually. It was brutal, but
I'm
she
not
did
sure
it
what
with
you're
a smile.
talking about. Oh, you're talking maybe.
Somebody, you were hunting.
Oh, I think it was the guy in my life that was talking about good and evil, right? And that it was wrong for like religious people to like impose such values. I think that's what you're talking about. But yeah, I mean, I've certainly had my moments on here where I'm not very cordial. And I sort of
the
had this
best, right?
discussion.
Wit? No.
Do you guys know Thrail and like the bat and mushroom gang?
No.
It's like it's like like Thrail, bat Colite, like those guys. No.
Mm-mm.
Well, they run this. Let me set the mood. They run this. Hey guys, welcome to the show. Oh, I see you have a question. Oh, thank you for challenging on my view. That was a very interesting facilitation of that objection. And I go in there, right? I have to code switch so hard, and even then, I still am like tweaking out, like I'm shaking because I can't be loud, right? And it just sometimes it just feels the best to yell wit, and I'm just saying that if you gotta yell, yell.
Well, I mean, I sort of had this
Well-
discussion yesterday on my live that like with other fellow Christians, and that like I have to be like privy to myself and like what I can handle, and sometimes I, if I choose to enter into like some kind of conversation with somebody and it becomes hostile, it's like I have to pick my battles, because a lot of the time, all I want to say is like, God, you're a fucking idiot, like, fuck, you're so fucking stupid, like
Yeah.
that
words
does
you
it.
use,
Like I've
Whit.
certainly done that before, so it's like,
Well,
but I can't do that. I
everybody
shouldn't do that. So
everybody should have the demeanor and measured personality of Jim, but occasionally he'll have his moments. He'll start saying, sorry, you cocksucker, motherfucker, I'm muting
Yeah,
you.
sorry,
Mom,
yeah.
shut up. I'll let you talk. Cocksucker, you
Yeah.
motherfucker. But then he just calms back down and he's
And
Jim
then-
again.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be like, and especially if they cuss at him, their mic's getting muted. He goes, "I don't know who the fuck you're talking to, motherfucker." Yeah.
no,
It's
Sorry,
better than
motherfucker,
Whit.
I'm
Jim's a
It's
very
better
bailed
than
out
Whit
muting
saying
you.
the R word.
I
And,
don't say the R word.
and the N
Yeah,
word.
Wit says the N word. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
it's not that you can't yell. It's just what words you're choosing to yell with,
That's true.
like the N word.
Like
Yeah,
the
like the N word.
I,
Like,
sh- I should
nuh-uh.
I should probably do less of that. Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a normative claim. Yeah.
That is.
You have
How
an
do I
arg- what's
justify that?
what's your
Hey,
argument for that? Do you have an argument
hey,
for that? I'm
Summer.
sorry.
Hey,
I'm
wait,
sorry.
one
I'm
second.
sorry.
One
I'm
second.
sorry.
Let's,
Do you have an argument for that?
Summer's
I'm
been waiting
sorry.
for a long time.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Summer.
Okay. I'm sorry. What did you say was your like? How are you measuring good reason?
Yeah,
Like, what
good
do you mean?
reasons are good to me. Some kind of like logical argument, or if it's going to be rendered informally, some kind of reliable mechanism to arrive at true things.
Okay.
So like good reasons to believe that Santa Claus doesn't exist is that he's one guy. There are like billions of houses. Time exists. Therefore, it's probably each kid's parent doing it. And then good reasons to believe in I don't know, like the laws of logic is that they are like continually demonstrated to be reliable to such a high degree that if it were ever the case that they were not reliable, we would have to fundamentally change some like we would have to reevaluate our hypothesis or something.
Okay. Where do you think the laws of logic come from?
That's like a very I think I don't know if they have to come from anywhere. I think that they're like phenomena that exist. And I think that like the universe furnishes those phenomena, right? But it just so happens to me to be like it seems like we've exhausted the possibility space of like everything is either itself, and if it's itself, it can't be itself and not itself, and everything is either itself or not itself. Like it just seems to me that that's a true trichotomy, right? And if we find out that some things can be another way, Robbie's here, so maybe let's just go into my crazy misunderstanding La La Land, and let's say that like through some superposition or something, we find out that there's some logical law of logic that if we interact with some particle in some way, it can collapse into a way where it's itself and not itself, or I don't know, but like it just seems like we've exhausted the possibility space with the laws of logic, right? Because anything that you can predicate on or anything you can point out, it's going to be the case that it is itself, right? So it just seems, I don't know, like a good definition. I was kind of yapping there, but
No,
so you
it's
can
cool.
talk
I
for a
think
while.
that I agree on most of it, but I think that it is itself that logic or I'm going to say logos
Yeah.
is God. I think that the reason we have logic would be the actual God.
Okay, so let's compare our hypotheses. I believe that we have the laws of logic because we have the universe. You believe we have the laws of logic because we have God. Is one of these have more explanatory power than the other?
Well, yeah, because the universe isn't eternal.
I think the universe is past eternal. So I don't know how you're making that claim as if it's like a truth.
When you say past eternal, are you implying that it could be destroyed eventually?
Yeah, because there's no problem with an infinite set having no beginning but having an end.
Yes, that still would be not eternal.
No, that would be an infinite, right, timeline.
No,
right?
it ends.
Right,
It's
but
just it's
infinite
past
sets.
eternal, not future eternal.
Eternal has no beginning or end.
So Summer, so then how many real numbers are in between 1 and 2?
How many real numbers?
Yeah,
Infinite amount.
that's correct. Right? So 1 would be the beginning point, 2 would be the ending point. That's an infinite set that has both a beginning and an end. Do you understand that?
I don't get that. I don't track.
So in between 1 and 2, there's going to be numbers like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, forever. Right?
Like you can make the smallest increment forward, but that's
Mhm.
not an infinite amount. You still start with 1 and end with 2.
I agree,
There's a
but
start and an end.
how many real numbers are in there between those starting and end points? Infinite. Let's put it this way. If you started counting from 1 to 2 in decimal places, and somebody else helped you to speed up the process and started counting backwards from 2 down to 1 using decimal spaces, do you think you guys would ever reach the same number?
Yeah, I just think that's a logical way to approach because you've already stated that. So between 1 and 2, I mean, you'd have to define 1 and define 2 to know what measurements are in between, right?
The regular way people use them, the way that you use them.
Right. But I'm saying, so like if you're talking 1 inch to 2 inches, right? On
No,
a
I'm talking about
ruler, that's going
numerals.
to be different.
Numerals.
Huh?
A number line, right?
Mm-hmm.
On a number line, I agree that there's going to be a finite amount of distance between in a 1 inch space, right? That's not for contention.
Can you give me an example of how this is in reality?
Yeah, in reality, there are infinitely many numbers between 1 and 2. That's
No, I mean,
just
like, can you give me an example of of this?
yeah. So let me maybe because that is an example, but I can try to explain why I think the universe is past eternal.
Okay.
So I think that there's a strong inductive case to be made. And it goes like this. So for me, I believe that the universe is past eternal because every event that's ever been recorded in the history of ever has had a moment prior. So for any time t, there's a time t minus 1 that precedes it. And if you were to ask me, starting from now and going backwards, at what point does this reliable mechanism fail, right? Or what point does the mechanism fail? So that way I'm not like begging the question. I would have to honestly say that I don't know. So I don't have a good reason to think that it will fail, right? And so I don't have a good reason to think that the universe had a beginning. And so I don't think I have a good reason to think the universe is created. And if the kind of thing that does creating is a creator, I don't have good reasons to believe in one of those. And for that reason, and because I don't think true contradiction can exist, I think that if the universe wasn't created, then it can't have been created. Therefore, I think that the God is not true. Does that make sense?
Not really. Well, to me, it doesn't. Like, because of my framework, I'm just trying to understand like what you mean by some of it. So,
Okay, yeah, ask any question you want. We're here to understand.
I'm going to try to rephrase it in my own words, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Okay, yeah.
So, infinitely into the past, even at the rate of like -1 or whatever you were saying.
Mhm.
How would we get to today if you're saying that like between 1 and 2?
Yeah. Because we would get to do you agree that we're in the present moment right now?
Yes.
So do you agree that because we're in the present moment and because concepts like a week from now are going to exist or tomorrow's going to exist, you agree that like no matter how long the infinite chain of antecedent conditions is, there's always going to be a finite amount of units of time that it is away from today, right?
Well, I'm not tracking that.
So because we're in the present, right? And because future time is going to exist, the amount of time that we can reach into the past, it's always going to be a finite amount of numbers away from today. And I'm going to be honest with you, it is hard for me to like capitulate this because infinite is so unintuitive. But
Right.
Robbie, if whenever you have a second, if you want to explain that, yeah.
Just something like an infinity, for example. I'm confused what the
So
question is.
the
Sorry.
question is, if the universe is past eternal, how can we have reached today?
I guess like no matter like how, I guess how much time you want to imagine, there will just always be like a previous event prior to that. So that's like if you say like maybe how long would it take like to get to today? You go back a day, it would just take a day, and you can just keep going back, and there will always be an event or a time unit prior to that.
Robbie, I love you. That was so cool. Yeah. Summer, does that make sense?
But this is all conceptual. We have no way to know any of this.
Right.
Yeah,
This is that's
T-bars.
the hardest part is I just don't so without the one there, right? Because
Mhm.
when you were doing the 1 to 2, you're saying there's like an infinite amount of numbers between 1 and 2, which I don't see that. I think that maybe there's a lot of numbers, maybe too much for
Wait,
the human
wait.
mind to process out, but like you count from 1 to 2, you get from 1 to 2.
Right.
So
If you're
there's an
counting,
eternal like if you have a number line
if
with
you're
an
counting up, if
arrow,
you're counting up by 0.25% of a digit, you're gonna get there in 4 steps, right? If you're counting up
mhm.
there in 0.5 of a digit, you're gonna get there in 2 steps. But if you agree that numbers are infinitely many, then it's just gonna be 1 point, and then pretend like the 1 point isn't even there. Count the real numbers in the universe. It's infinitely many, right?
Like I think you can like infinitely count, but you have a starting point.
Yeah, but there's no problem with an infinite set having a starting point.
But the other thing is you're trying to
Yeah,
define a
maybe
starting
I can
point in an infinite set, and I think that's the problem there. Like you're not going to have a starting point if you're going to
maybe I
go
can try to
back.
help from
Are you
like
talking? Are you talking to me, Robbie?
oh, sorry.
No, talking to Summer, like
Yeah.
trying to define a starting point. There is no starting point when we're looking at the timeline in this context here.
Right,
Maybe I
but
can
he's using that as an example of the between 1 and 2, which
maybe I
is
Yeah.
can
the
sort
opposite,
of
right?
Yeah. What do you have to say? What?
well, and I'm only like just mind you, I'm sort of just like riffing at this point, but so
Hey,
the
we love the
pushback is
riff.
fine as far as that goes because this is just kind of me listening to the conversation and me applying that to maybe this sort of understanding and the theological understanding. So like maybe Summer, you could sort of understand that like when Christ says like he is the beginning and the end, right? Right. Well, we both hold that he's that's infinite, right? So you can kind of think of God as like the whiteboard, right? And this whiteboard has a line drawn on it, and that line is like the timeline, right? That we're on, right? So there's a beginning and an end to that, right? And we're all like present within God. He's present within all of that, right? But he's infinite, right? So there's a beginning and an end to that, right? As far as that goes, in that understanding. So in the same way that like maybe what like right here is sort of understanding is like between 1 and 2, like there's a beginning and an end, right? Between those things, there's this infinite, set, if you will, of numbers, infinite many, right? That infinity
I
doesn't
see
really
it.
have. Does that make more sense?
Yeah.
Okay, see.
Okay, I see what
Look
you're
at
saying.
me, like
I
trying to
guess I
bridge
just
the gap
don't
between
agree
you
that we
two.
have
W
evidence
wit.
that the universe
Hey, Wit,
is
Wit.
eternally before.
Yeah. Wit. Not only are you an atheist whisperer, you're a Christian
Christian
whisperer.
whisperer. Look at that.
That's why you gotta do the precept, because if we're talking about
And
like
not just any type of Christian.
Super Christian.
if we're arguing like guesses and possibilities, these people will just go in circles forever. So you have to precept them.
These people.
Yeah. What do you mean? Like black people?
What?
Non-Christian debaters.
You think all non-Christians are black? Can you guys believe Pimar said that?
What's the argument for that?
Yeah.
Well, if you got punched in a lazy eye, it'd be a lazy black eye. Would that be redundant?
Oh my! Hey, wait, did you get that? Did you get that from Darth Dawkins' Real Attitude?
Wait, can I
Um,
bring up another way to imagine the
yeah, go ahead,
infinite?
please.
Okay. I think
Start riffing.
yeah. I think the best way to imagine it is the negative integers on like a number line. So like obviously there's an infinite amount of negative integers, but
that infinite does end at -1. And you could even try to like make it analogous to like we're in year 2024, and you can imagine that, you can go back to year 0, and
Yeah.
then there's negative years, you get negative year 1, negative year 2. And no matter which point in time you're at, whatever negative year you're at, it will never be the case that there will be an infinite amount of years in between what point you're at to the present day. So it'll not be the case that you'll ever have to traverse like an infinite amount of time
Exactly.
if
Yes.
if
Oh
there
my
is an infinite
God,
regression.
dude. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been having trouble. I've just been using like the start to the end of the universe, but but that's just changing my example from numbers to not numbers. But if I say like an example of a set with a beginning and an end, 1 and 2, an example of a set with just an end but no beginning, the amount of negative numbers, and an example of a set with just a beginning and no end is all the positive numbers. That's a really succinct way to put that.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
And you think the evidence that we have is of that?
Yeah, just like the continued reliability of that mechanism, whatever it is, that makes every time t be preceded by time t minus 1, right? So just for any number on the timeline of events, it's going to be preceded by t minus 1. And if you ask me how, starting now, going back in the past, when is that mechanism going to break down, I'm going to have to honestly say I don't know. And so therefore I have no reasons to say all the rest of the stuff that I said.
There's no evidence. Like if you say the universe is eternal or infinite, you'd have no reason to think that's true.
Well, I have an inductive case to think that I don't have certainty that it's true for sure.
No, you would have no reason to say that's true.
Well, I wouldn't have a good reason, right? But I would have some reason.
No, you wouldn't.
Wait, here by reason, do you just mean like some type of justification?
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
right. So, I mean, like you have justification such that the concept is not logically contradictory, right?
That's
so
not a
it
justification.
conforms with-
That's not a
Yeah,
justification.
sure it is. Like so,
No, it's not.
The reason to believe something is that it's logical. That's the
It's not
reason.
logically. There's no logical contradiction in me jumping to the moon.
Right,
Wait.
there isn't.
There's not, but there's a
It
noble
doesn't, it doesn't
contradiction.
mean shit just because there's no
So are you
logic.
saying
That's
that
not an
there's
evidence to
hold
say
on,
something
so hold
isn't
on. So are you
logical.
saying that just because it's logically possible, there's some kind of like nomological contradiction
Logical
or impossibility?
possibility isn't evidence.
I'm asking you, are you saying in the concept of infinite regress, is it nomologically impossible, even though it's logically possible?
I don't know what you mean by that.
just switched it up.
Do you
Even
think
if
the laws of the universe are such that it couldn't be possible, even though in
you would
some...
have no look, you'd have
Sorry,
no,
P. Mars. Sorry, P. Mars. I was asking a question, okay? You can answer when I'm done asking the question. So, are you saying that the laws of the universe are such that an infinite regress can't be possible, even though in atheist, silly, make-believe, hypothetical la-la land, it's logically possible? Are you saying that?
I've never like researched this topic, so I don't know if
It's clear.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that just because my point is that just because something's logically possible, that's not an evidence.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so then on top of it being logically possible, there's no nomological contradiction to it. So now we have
There's no
even stronger
metaphysical or
justification.
physical, like, there's nothing.
What do you fucking think evidence is? Like this, this is so.
I think that evidence is something that raises the
It's not
probability
evidence.
of a proposition being true or false.
No, it's like a rational proof, an empirical proof, pragmatic proof, or transcendental proof.
Rationally, do you just mean that it's logical?
It would follow. Yeah, it follows something.
Yeah, so what about the argument was not logical, right? You conceded that it was logical.
Dude. To say something's logically possible is not an evidence that it's true. It's real simple.
Well, are we saying that
What's that inference rule?
true, or
X
are we
is
just saying
logically
that
possible
are we just
or
saying
X
that
is
infinite
true?
regress is true, or are we just saying that it's within the scope of possibility?
My argument is I understand. I don't know if it's. I'm not arguing that it's impossible. I'm saying that there's no evidence. There's no way to know. If you claim the universe is infinite, that's just baseless. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to demonstrate, that it's not baseless, right? Because what
Yeah.
you mean by evidence is some kind of reason or rationale, right? And we're giving you a reason or rationale such that that there is some logical and even some nomological possibility
kidding.
for it to happen. And so that's reason enough.
You're not getting this. No, it's not.
Wait, I think we can modus tollens this, right? I'm thinking about it right now, but like,
Conceivability is not a good
wait,
guideline.
P-Mars, 1 second. Let me render this argument, right? If something is logically contradictory, then it is impossible. It is not the case that this thing is impossible, that therefore it's not the case that this thing is possible, that therefore it's not the case that this thing is logically contradictory, right? So it's like, if we can say for certain that contradictions are false, then that means that non-contradictions have a non-zero probability of being true. Right?
Yeah,
Maybe-
basically something I put in the comments. If I believed something was logically impossible, and then I found out that I was wrong, and in fact it was logically possible, that would raise the probability.
Can you
Oh,
just
yeah,
have?
good.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I mean, maybe when we're talking about universe, we're just like talking about like, I guess in time and space, but
Something's logically possible, Mitch. Are you justified in claiming that it's true based on that it's logically possible?
I said
Is
raise
that
the
a fucking
probability. I didn't say it
justification,
raises
dumb
it. I
fuck?
didn't say it raises it
P-Mars,
past the
P-Mars.
threshold.
That's
of
what
it
we're
being
fucking talking about, dipshit.
Yeah. I'm
P-Mars,
just saying it
P-Mars.
raises
Man, it
the
was so
probability.
Wait, we got it.
Fuck you!
P-Mars.
You get so upset.
Wait, P-Mars.
It's fine. It's cool.
P-Mars, do you think that I'm saying that the universe being past eternal? Do you think I'm saying that that's true?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
Okay,
you cannot say the universe is past.
I'm not
eternal.
saying it's
You would have
true. I'm
no
saying I believe
basis
that
to
it's
say
true.
That's true. You can say
I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying I believe that it's true.
possible, but who cares? It's logically possible. I can jump to the fucking moon. That doesn't say anything.
Yeah, but it's also nomologically possible that you can jump to the moon if you jump from Mars, right? If you jump from
Yeah,
a little
so for
spaceship
me-
into a, huh?
Like if I look at the different kind of cosmological models that are out there, there are some that point to like a finite universe, for example, and some that would point to like an eternal universe. And so when we look at the evidence, I guess we can make inferences from that. But that would, in one way, because we can't actually determine which of these are true, which of these models are true, it's hard for us. I think when we're comparing like a finite universe to an infinite universe, I think they're kind of on equal paths there if they're both logically possible
No, you're not.
with regards to the evidence to support them. So
There's no. You can't make metaphysical claims. Science doesn't make. Like, what is wrong with you?
well, this is why we're making a comparison between the two possibilities there, right?
Those are
And if they're
metaphysical
both-
claims. So scientific evidence doesn't support either one.
Yeah, what I'm
It might be
saying
the
is
same
that
claim. We're just defining universe different.
we're just sort of
Summer?
like comparing.
Claim about reality. That's a
Good point,
metaphysical
Summer.
claim. You're making a claim
Well,
about reality. You don't have fucking
yeah,
access
yeah.
to reality. You're making shit
Dude,
up.
chill out, P-Mars. You just get going into it. Another emotional breakdown again, and I don't understand why, because we're just having a
Because you people
conversation.
are fucking ignorant about what the capability.
So do you
of
remember
science and
earlier
philosophy
how
are.
Stop breaking
earlier
down.
how Wit was saying about the
God
the
is
bringing the order
creating-
to
Yeah.
like it's not like there was like this like like it wasn't nothing. It was more like darkness and disorder. And so bringing order to it is the creation part, right? So like if you think of space as the universe, then we're kind of on the same page. But I think if you're thinking of creation as the earth, like the bringing of order to all the chaos, we might be on the same kind of track. It's just
yeah, I don't.
how we track time is different.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that like you're probably right in that summer, and like I was sort of trying to understand that like it could be like, and you were saying that like infinite sets can have a beginning and this an end, right? And this would still be, I would imagine, like if we're talking about like the universe and its thus existence, and at this point that the universe could still thus have a beginning and an end, and within it have infinity. Right? That makes sense. So like it's not necessarily like I'm not like some expert on infinite regression. That's probably something like as far as what's being posited there, but I think like to Summer's point that like bringing disorder and chaos into order, like that would be the understanding of like ex nihilo creation, right? And there was a time, right, when that began, right, when God thus moved his will and that began, but that existence prior to like God willing that to move has thus always existed, or something like that. So you could say that that would be the case as far as that goes. Everyone's quiet. Weird. I hate it when that happens.
No, I get that.
No,
In terms
I
of
just realized
reasoning,
that you guys could hear me typing away on my keyboard because I didn't mute my
What'd you say,
fucking
Mitch? I
microphone.
didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I guess I wasn't fucking.
yeah, Zach, jeez.
I can't even
Yeah,
find the
well,
mute
so
button.
it doesn't like break any threshold in any epistemist worldview. Anybody who believes you can have some kind of knowledge, fallibilist or not, it's not going to meet the burden to say something's logically possible. It's a really low burden to meet, but it's definitely going to raise the probability. And if you're doing a worldview comparison, then if something's logically impossible, that's going to be a shitty worldview. You're going to reject it straight out if you don't want contradictions in your worldview, right? So instantly, if you're doing the worldview comparison, let's say we have 3 worldviews, 2 are logically possible, 1 is logically impossible, we're going to rule out the logical impossible one. Zach isn't just building his entire argument on the idea that it's logically possible, right? There's also this inductive case that for every event, there seems to be a prior event, and there doesn't seem to be a reason to doubt.
Is this upside down for you guys? What the fuck is this happening?
Oh, wow.
I was gonna change
second.
it to the chill hangout space one, and then now everything's fucking upside down. Okay,
I don't see how you can say that, Mitch, because you've adopted a worldview that is logically contradictory. So, like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. I don't have a worldview that's logically contradictory.
Yes, you do. Of course you do.
No, I don't.
Oh, really? Then what is ultimate that's identifiable and defendable that's not God?
I don't know. How does that lead to a
That's
contradiction?
that's a contradiction.
How is it a contradiction?
And that's a contradiction.
How is it a contradiction? I'm a skeptic, so how is it a contradiction?
Because if you don't know the ultimate, then you couldn't you can't justify anything. There'd be no meaning to anything, and you wouldn't even be able to speak.
PMARS.
You wouldn't be able to speak because there'd be no uniformity of nature.
Oh my God.
Like there would be no. Do you understand? Like you can't. You're talking about like logical impossibilities, but your world can't even ground in logic. There's no ultimate context to logic. You don't get
Just
this.
give me a P and not P.
ESPN logo.
Yeah. What's the P and not P?
You assume the preconditions of intelligibility, and you deny the preconditions of intelligibility. You speak as if.
Wait! That wasn't a contradiction. That wasn't a contradiction.
Well, couldn't it be said? Couldn't it be said that
Sorry,
even
one
that
second,
like the concession?
Wait, one second.
Sorry.
That was not a contradiction.
That
You're
is
right,
a
you said-
contradiction. That's a P and not
Wait,
P.
I'll tell you why it's not. Okay.
Oh
okay.
my God! You don't know what you're talking about.
Maybe you misspoke. But you said you assume it and you deny it. You didn't say you affirm it and you deny it, right?
Shut the fuck up, dude.
No, you shut up. You
No,
little weirdo.
couldn't you say look, we've already conceded to some degree.
Wait, one
that,
second. Sniff check. You smell like a weirdo.
So I'm just saying that if we're conceding right to some degree that just because something is logically possible, that doesn't mean that it's true. On the principles of skepticism and Mitch's point, right? There is no contradiction if that's the principle that he's using. That'd be
Duh.
Well, there is a contradiction. He's look, when Mitch speaks, When Mitch speaks, Mitch is using unified descriptions of reality, but his worldview that he's operating out of, it doesn't have any unity. What would unify anything?
An ultimate?
What actualizes the unity that you speak
An
of?
ultimate.
Exactly. There is no ultimate, though. He's in an ultimate mystery.
Yeah, but
So he has no unity. So when
guess what I'm
Mitch
asking-
uses unified descriptions of reality every time he talks, that's a contradiction.
Yeah. So I guess the question is what's the argument that you need some type of ultimate in order to make, intelligibility or something?
So stupid.
In order to have a worldview or intelligibility
So
or anything.
when you speak,
what's the argument? What's the
yeah,
argument
when you
that
so when
ultimate
you
is what
yeah
grounds that?
when you speak the propositions, do they reference a mental state or something in an external world?
Yeah, I'm still not hearing an argument for that.
When you so just to speak, in order for our propositions to reference something in an external world, we need a unifying principle. Okay? Otherwise, like meaning and truth is just invented. And so basically,
what do you think my question is? Like, what do you
you
think
either accept that the ultimate is God that's revealed himself, or you're an ultimate mystery where that will entail global skepticism.
Wait, let's see if that passes the sniff check. Nope, that's a bad idea.
I mean, it sort of seems, I guess, I'm sort of just still stuck on the understanding of, like, principally, I guess you could say, as far as like the grounding of understanding of knowledge and truth, I can understand what's being said if we're having such a discussion, but principally within like the worldview of skepticism, if that's the principle that you're holding to, albeit that discussion, then I wouldn't see any sort of like contradiction logically.
Yo, I'm more important than most people. Someone drop.
It's an anti-skeptical argument. Like, you can't. The whole point is, if you're skeptical of the conclusion, that would entail a performative contradiction. So, to be skeptical, it requires the preconditions for intelligibility. So, in a worldview that can't account for the preconditions of intelligibility, you couldn't even be skeptical of anything.
Okay, so if I'm not skeptical of God, God exists, and if I am skeptical of God, God exists, how is that not a contradiction?
That's how the argument works. That's the strength of the argument. That in the process of denying God's revelation, you have to assume God's revelation to deny God's revelation.
Can you assume something that's not true? Checkmate, Christians.
If you assume you're an ass.
It looks like Spurs is doing his trolling again. Not very interesting.
Are you walking, Cartesian? Are you on campus?
No, I'm walking to the bus station actually.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I mean, for PMARS, it's like, I mean, multiple people will say in response to you that God is not required for the preconditions for intelligibility, and I feel like this has been explained a lot to you, and you never really engage with it. I don't know.
Do the look check.
Yeah. What is ultimate? It's either you accept God as ultimate, or you're an ultimate mystery. There's no other option.
I'm an ultimate
But I just
mystery.
deny, like, why would there have to be an ultimate unity?
Because when you talk, you're using unified descriptions of reality. So what actualizes the unity that you're talking about, dumbass?
Yeah, I'm using descriptions of reality. I just don't think there's some external object that unifies everything.
So
And that
everything you
sounds
say is an
perfectly
illusion.
consistent to me. You know.
So are the words there? Are they referring to just your mental state, or are they referring to something in an external world?
Yeah, a lot of terms I use refer to things in the external world.
Yes, but how could you refer to something in the external world? Because that would be a unified description of reality. So what would actualize the unity?
Yeah, so how can I successfully refer to things? Well, the idea is that you have a term, and insofar as you kind of observe that there is something that satisfies the predicate you're using,
What actualizes
reliable
the
in that
unity?
judgment, then you
What
can successfully
actualizes
refer
the
to
unity?
something.
What
But for the
actualizes the
latter
unity?
question, I just don't think there needs
What
to be
actualizes
something
the unity?
external
You're
that
using
unifies that
unity.
action in
What
some way.
actualizes the unity that you use?
One second. Hey,
Using
a quick
what
note.
actualizes the unity?
A quick note of moderation. I think,
there
it would be
needs to
more.
be
Wait, I think
something
Okay, well then
actualizes
you're
it.
contradicting yourself. Well then that's a
Hey,
contradiction.
AP Mars.
That's what a contradiction is.
Yeah, you guys mute up.
You're speaking of unity, but
Hey, bro. So it seems like this is turning into more of a debate. So let each other finish and then respond. Okay. Try not to interrupt each other. You can go
I
ahead.
never interrupted anybody.
I didn't say that you interrupted. It was a
Well,
conditional statement.
I mean, he's already finished, so take him out the oven. He's cooked.
P Mars, you can go first. Cartesian, you can respond.
I mean, it's over. That it's either
Okay, is that
you
your
accept-
opening? Is that your statement? Is that it's over?
Look, it's either you accept ultimate reality revealed itself, or you're an ultimate mystery. Ultimate mystery entails global skepticism. Is that it? That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the argument, of course, is like some things are unified, and so there must be a kind of unifier or something like that. So I agree with the first premise, and I just deny the second one. I don't think like unity requires a kind of external unifier of some kind.
What do you have to
He's
say to that, P.
just
Mars?
contradicting himself. He's speaking about unity, and then he's saying that there is no unity. So that's a contradiction.
Well,
Cartesian, were you saying
one
that?
thing you could say is like you could say it's like a performative contradiction insofar as like in order to even speak about unity, or in order for there to be unified things, there has to be a unifier, or something. In order for you to even deny that there's a unifier, there has to be one. You could say it's a performative contradiction in that regard, but that would just kind of be begging the question because I'm just denying that very principle. So I don't know, like, so we can try to make arguments for it or against it, whatever. But yeah, I mean, just to be clear,
You're
I wouldn't grant
denying
that it's a
unity.
contradiction.
You're denying unity, and you're using unity when you speak. You're
Oh, no, I'm not.
confused.
I'm
Okay.
not denying unity. I think unity is of course a
What
polysemist term,
actualizes
and
the unity? What? That's
I don't
not
want to
God
ask
that
you to define
actualizes
some
the
of this stuff,
unity.
but I think I
What
have somewhat of
actualizes the
an hold
unity?
on. I think I have
Okay.
somewhat of an idea of what you're talking about, and of course there are different kinds of unities, and I think there are unities. I just don't really often think there are things that actualize them. Kind of gets complicated.
Well, couldn't you say in like some
Well, that's a contradiction. So
sense of
he believes in unity, but he doesn't believe in unity. That's what he said.
Well, he doesn't
Okay,
believe in
well,
unifier. Like
I don't
thing
think
that
this
makes
is
that
going to go
true.
anywhere. It seems like he's just not going to get it.
Yeah, it's only a
It's
contradiction if
not
you beg
going
the
anywhere
question
because
that
you're
he's denying
contradicting
unity by
yourself.
denying something that unifies. He said
Hey,
he's
Sid,
not
I
denying
love you.
unity.
well, would you
He's denying the necessary.
Hi,
Look,
darling.
if you could say
He's
he's
denying that
not
they
right.
are necessary
Look,
preconditions. Do you have an
Mitch,
argument to say that they
you
are?
can
Do
try.
you have an
Look,
argument?
I'm not born yesterday. Okay, you can try your sophist crap. Oh, he's not denying unity, but it's just the fact of the matter. If I deny apple trees exist, that's the same thing as denying apples. Because
So is
if
that
there's no
accepting you
apple
assume something
trees,
false? Is that
yeah. This is
self-stultifying
just an
or is that
entailment, Mitch.
self-falsifying?
This is just an
Well, that's not.
entailment,
Hold up.
Mitch.
Well, P.
This
Murray,
is
you don't
just an
want to say.
entailment, Mitch. So
No, wait, P. Murray's. You don't want to say that's a logical entailment because there could be apples without apple trees. You could say, as a matter of fact, right? Where the apple trees? Oh, did he leave?
Yeah, did you
Uh,
mute him?
I didn't even interrupt him. I never even interrupted him.
Zach, was that you?
No, that wasn't me. I think it was
no,
Cartesian.
nobody. Yeah, nobody.
It
I
wasn't
didn't mute him.
me.
I didn't even interrupt him.
Oh, I don't know then. It turns out that every single person on this whole panel is a mod, so it's gonna get dicey.
Oh, hey,
I don't think
Ben.
I've even muted.
You
Well,
say
I
mod
did mute
powers.
that
I wouldn't do
one
that.
other guy yesterday, but
No, you're good. Crash out W. Guess. Boom, boom. If anybody wants to come up, Autumn, what's up, brother? What's up, brother?
Oh, yes, Autumn. Hi. Hi, everybody. Wait, hold on. Let me show you guys my
isn't
work
Autumn
today.
that person who's like a ginger?
Well, maybe I
No,
could.
no.
Yes,
Autumn is that person
yes.
who thinks that we should abolish gender.
Because like I don't think Autumn has a soul, and I don't think she should be up here.
Well, you don't think you have a soul either, right, Cartesian?
Yeah,
You don't have a
literally.
soul?
You're
No,
such
I
a
have a
hater for
soul,
that.
but like I don't think Autumn does.
Okay, that's
Wait, you believe in a soul without
And
God?
there's this other girl named Megs, and Megs also lacks a soul.
Wait, Cartesian, you're gonna have to argue for your right to stay up here. Do you have an argument for a soul? If a soul is the entailment, if you need a soul to be up here, can you argue that you have one?
yes, please. I'd
Oh
like
yeah,
to.
of course.
Well, render it.
Well, I mean,
Render it, brother.
well, I said I could argue for it. I never said I would.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
that was
yeah,
the
you
question.
answered my
Hey, Mitch, you
question, but
fucked
then
up the
Zach.
question, right?
Yeah.
No,
So
you
when you
answered
asked
my
him, could
question,
he
but
argue
then
it? You
Zach gave
misspoke, right?
No, I just wanted to know if there was one. I was satisfied with the yes, I trust Cartesian, but
Oh,
you
nice.
want him to render it, so.
Oh, true. I am the host. I'm just
Can I
kidding.
ask something just like super quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When,
So, do what?
no, I was gonna say when did summer leave, but I realized you had just asked to talk, and I had just said yes, and then me talking after that was just interrupting you, which
Yeah, I
was rude
think
as fuck.
you're cool.
Okay, go ahead.
Um. So, like, in terms of language, like, would you say that, like the words that we use and like the language that we use, in order to bring like meaning unto that language that any of us can understand, that there has to be like some external unifier in order to do that?
I don't think so. I think
Nah,
that
that's
like
a bunch of nonsense.
even if everybody agreed
Well, I
that
don't
from
mean I
now.
don't mean like in the sense of like God. I just mean in like, let's just say
Oh, I wasn't
myself,
talking about God either.
right?
I
Like
was
that,
saying
like
even
agents.
if everyone agreed tomorrow that now when we say purple we mean like a round piece of bread that you can put pepperonis and cheese on, right? That would
Ooh.
just take away our like it would just become a new like collective understanding of a new concept or something.
I think.
Well, I mean, it kind of just seems like the only reason why I ask it is that it seems that like it would be agents, right? That would use language. You imagine
Yeah.
that like there's nothing else that would be using that. So like in this sense, like to bring meaning, like even if you're just holding principally that like I'm the the arbiter of that meaning as far as that
Yeah.
goes, like that would require some kind of like external this agent in order to do so. Does that make sense? I'm just trying to ask a question.
Yeah, I
Does
think it would
not.
require an agent.
I mean, it makes
Oh,
sense. I
I
mean,
Cartesian, can you like tell me why it makes sense? That doesn't make sense. I'm sorry.
he said it doesn't make sense.
Well, okay.
Cartesian.
Well, okay. Try to run it through one more time.
What I mean is that like agents, right, would be using language, right, and like us using that language, like the meaning of that, right, and it having meaning would like require this an agent in order to give meaning unto the word, or else like I'm like there's an external agent as far as that goes that would bring meaning to the sense of the word that's
Yeah.
being.
So wait. Okay. So you're, in other words, you're just really asking, do
Mhm.
words get their meaning from agents when they use them? And
Mhm.
the answer to that question would be yes, of course.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So I in like again, I please don't fucking get on me about it, but
Riff.
I think maybe like P Mars minus the crashing out and the losing his mind is saying like to make meaning of anything, right? Like principally at this point would require some kind of like in like a universal sense would require a universal agent in order to do that. I think that's what's being stated as far as that
Well, I'm
goes.
not sure exactly what he'd be getting at because, like, in the sense of words in a language, I understand what it means to say those words have meaning insofar as they're used by agents. But so if that's what he's talking about, well, no, like they wouldn't require anything other than like people using the words. And if he's talking about some different sense of meaning that's not like the semantic kind, then it might be on him to clarify what sense of meaning he is
Yeah,
really
if he's
looking
using
for.
some like robust sense of like purpose when
Well,
he
I mean,
says
I think
meaning.
maybe like when he's talking about the external world and us using language to describe things in the external world, right? That has that like we understand that and like it has meaningful content, if you will. And so principally and like in a hierarchically sort of order that like when I point out like both you and I point out like a tree, right? In the sense that like that's universally accepted as a tree in our language, right? And that has meaning to us. It has meaningful content to us. So universally, when we point out those objects in the external world, um, and that being applicable universally amongst human beings and that meaning being understood in that sense, then there would have to be some kind of universal agent to give meaning unto that. That's what's being said.
Oh, well, that would, I mean, so that seems even a bit more bizarre because
Okay.
we have a term in the language tree and
hmm
and there's a general usage of that term. And so as a result, there's a general acceptance of the things that satisfy the predicate of counting as a tree. And
hmm
that's it. And I don't see why that would require anything more. So it just requires people who have a general predicate in the language. And so given that, there are things that do in fact satisfy those predicates and people can come to those judgment labely. That's about it.
Mm.
Okay. I mean, I think, like, again, I'm not like a tag proponent. I could think I'm just trying to understand PMAR's position and that, like, um, you know, the, I guess that would more go into like the existence and like what we're recognizing as far as that goes. But it seems like as far as referencing like the external world, that having meaning, that having some kind of meaningful content universally would require a universal agent to give such meaning unto it. And I think that's just what's
Well,
being
the external world, it's a bit strange to say because like words have meanings and like sounds and symbols. And so maybe some of those symbols are objects in the external world. But like it's a bit weird to say the external world itself has meaning. Maybe it does
Yeah.
insofar as there are certain symbols that are like external world objects and those have meaning. And those play like a role in a language, whatever. So those are the sort of things I'll say have meaning in the semantic kind. And so if he's talking about something different, namely like our ability to understand and interpret the external world, well, all that would require are presumably organisms or creatures that have a reliable way to interact with the external world, and it wouldn't require any sort of God or anything. So I guess if the latter is his argument, I kind of have already explained this to him, and if the former is, about the semantic meaning,
cutting out Cartesian.
there's requirements that would have, and God isn't one of them,
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I just would like a side note that this is the nicest conversation I've had with Cartesian, so that's nice.
But Rat, what's your question?
Hold on, who just said that?
That was me,
who's
Wit.
that? Who am I talking to?
Halfwit, me.
I didn't even. Oh.
He didn't recognize it. He probably would have just called me stupid.
For a very long time.
I'm a nice guy. I don't call people stupid.
I know. Yeah, I mean, you
Wait,
do.
Cartesian. Sometimes you're not a nice guy, right? Wait.
Yeah, is there, like,
My
one possible case? Sure.
My live got flagged for harassment and bullying. Stop that. Whoever did it, stop that.
I think that was probably P-Mars.
Oh, true.
Yeah, but by the way, PMars does not have a position. PMars is trolling. He this is not like he doesn't think this is serious. Like when
No,
he
he
starts
does.
like
He
freaking
does.
out and
He
yelling,
does. I've seen him in Dark Dawkins Live.
he is trolling. Do you genuinely think PMars is not a troll?
I think he's a
Almost
troll.
somebody-
But I think he genuinely believes what he says. Yeah.
I heard somebody in
By the way,
like, one of
everybody-
his lives say that he's like secretly like a Satanist or something.
Yeah, everybody
Rat,
read what
what's your
Yuji
question?
sent in the chat.
Rat, what's your question?
Okay, my question
Called someone
why is Russell on me, and we have gosh darn it, Slurms. I was kicked yesterday. If you guys do not remember.
I don't remember. Look. I have 30 mods, and I only have 6 friends. So.
I would not talk about
Oh
you.
my gosh.
Wait,
Yeah,
are
but,
we
like,
friends?
Wait,
Huh?
yes,
About PMars,
Are we friends?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah.
I wanted to say about PMars, like I think like PMars may be a Christian in real life, probably sure maybe he is, but he is definitely a troll when it comes to precept or whatever.
So you think he believes in it for like biblical reasons or for like cultural reasons, but you think he uses precept as a rage bait slash?
Yeah, because I think like he believes it for like he was raised that way and there's like cultural and
Yeah.
it's like useful to believe. I don't know. And that's like all fine, I guess. But like when it comes to TikTok, I mean, I don't know how much money he makes on TikTok, but like I feel like it's kind of a thing to make money. That's what like my intention.
Oh, okay. That's got to be a
Like
sin, right?
Q-Top. Like
Oof.
Q-Top is like a grifter. Like most of these people kind of are grifters, you know.
I find P-Mars to be like more sincere than I would someone like Q-Top, but that's just me.
I'm also sympathetic to that view, but that's only because I've screamed at P Mars before. He's screamed at me before, and he's chilled in my lives for 2 hours, making me shit myself laughing.
What the?
Yeah, like sometimes when he comes up to every like atheist live, like that part, I don't even think that part's to make money. That part he just like likes trolling. And he finds that funny,
he likes goofing off. Because we were having a vegan debate yesterday, Cartesian. The one that you were. Wait, 1 second. We were having a vegan debate, and P Mars just out of nowhere unmutes and goes, "I bought vegan shampoo. It tasted terrible," and I was just busting out. I was busting. He's a goofball at heart, for real.
I mean, he reminds me of like a Christian Patrick Star.
But also, he said that he doesn't think that raping children is wrong, and he said he doesn't think God's real. So,
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you saw my most recent video, but I got P Mars to admit in a row that he doesn't think God is real. He doesn't think he's going to heaven when he dies. He doesn't think that child rape is wrong,
Oh
and he
my
doesn't think that
god.
Mustache Man was wrong.
Well, he's obviously trolling, of course.
Yeah, I mean he was crashing out, but like just the soundbite is enough for me. Like Cartesian, that when you got that
Yeah.
guy to admit to that reductio about raping his mother and schmooning up a school, and then he turned it around.
That
and
was
used it-
real.
Yeah, that was
the
real.
reason why it's important to say that is because you have to think about it. Okay, it's all debate, it's all TikTok. If God told him to shoot up, oh sorry, I can't say that word, to shoot up a school, he would fucking do it.
Smoot up, smoot up.
Schmoot up, like whatever. But this is like his actual position.
He believes
These
it,
people
yeah.
are scary.
Yes, they are. And when he says that like the equal power back to you is a tautology, well, if you thought kicking babies down the stairs was good, would you think it was good? And you're like, yeah, but
He's
that's
just
not
a
my current-
tautology. Of course, that's trivial.
Oh, what's up, Diggs?
Like so of course he doesn't understand, which is like what I'm saying is like, well, hold up. There's a difference
Yeah.
here, which is like I'm talking about your actual moral values
You
as of
actually
now.
think- exactly like
Yeah,
it's
you
like-
actually think that you're just saying if I
You know, and
Take
you know
it off.
why? You know why you know it's so hard? Because it took 3 days for you to say the same question, right? If God said,
I know it took
"Great
literally
mother,
3
shoot up-"
days for him to just answer the question after you cut off
I
all
got
the
flagged
ways he
again.
tried
I
to
got
run
flagged
away
again.
from
I
it.
got flagged again.
Oh, okay.
But it's
So
good.
you
It's
wanna-
good. We can just talk
you
about
wanna
regular
restart?
stuff now, but that's fine.
Okay.
Huh?
Sorry.
Do
never
you
mind.
guys
I was
think it's
just
worth
gonna say,
restarting? I mean, I'll restart, but I'm down to just keep this going. I don't know if it's like a 3-strike
what happens
drought
if you
rule,
get
but-
flagged one more time? What happens if you get flagged again?
I think I've been flagged 3 times without being taken down, but I'm not very. I'm new to this. I know that I'm already like.
I
talking
would
to
just for
people who are
your
good,
benefit.
but-
I feel like you should restart just to be safe.
Okay, I'll restart. I love you guys. See you soon.
Love
Okay.
you. Bye.